There it is. Okay, it should be working now. Head audio off. Yeah, head audio off. So it should be on now. On a delay. I'm watching myself in the playback. It's like 15 seconds behind. Let me see. Is it? It should come on. Okay, yeah. There it is. So Merry Christmas. What's up, PS5? Is that PS5? What's up, Nuclear Bomb? Oh man, it's the holidays out here. And I'm gonna drink because I got this for Christmas. Because I never buy liquor. Well, no, I won't say that. I used to buy. I always buy cheap liquor, whiskey or liquor. I like whiskey, so I got this for Christmas. A bottle of Jameson, which I like it. I love. Here's the thing, man. When it comes to whiskey or anything, people don't like it, but I love the type of alcohol that just fucking kicks your ass. I like we it's just it's so difficult to. So I love alcohol that just like stings so much. Like I love it to just like I want to drink fire, dude. I want to drink fucking fire when I drink some shit. This because I love to feel it. And this is cool. I like this. This has a little bit of that. I love to drink fire. Like I want the roughest. I want to drink hot sauce and whiskey together. I want to mix that shit together. Hot sauce, whiskey, and ginger. I want to take one sip and be like, oh, just be. I want to be fucked up, not drunk, but like I wanted to just like tear my. I want to feel it, you know. I don't like taking shots. That's the weird dilemma I have. I don't like. I still remember the exact time a buddy of mine. I was hanging out with him years ago in Ohio. I was maybe 21 at the time, and we used to do shots. And for some reason, this one time he came to me and said, "Hey, Wendell, here," and he got me a shot of like vodka or something. And for some reason, for some weird reason, this time I smelled it and could never do a shot again. It just did something in my brain to where it just made me incredibly nauseous to even think about doing that again. So I don't do shots, but I'll sip the fuck out of it. I'll tell you that. But yeah, this is good. I like it. What is Czech celebration Christmas like? So they celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. And now we didn't do this because my son's too small, but they have this like this like a book, not a book. It's like a it's like a cardboard like box, but it's like the size of a book. And like every day leading up to Christmas, the kid like opens one of the like doors up. Let me see if I can find on. Let me see if I can find on Google. Oh, I'll tell you what we could do. Let's do rituals. Let's do this tradition. Let's see all these that I've actually heard of and the ones I haven't. Because some of them are like poorly told. Some of them were poorly translated. I'm not gonna say poorly translated, but yeah, present here it is. Presents are open on the 24th. Yeah, so like they celebrate like they do the presents thing on Christmas Eve. Um, but I went walking down the center today. I actually posted on my Instagram where that shooting happened. Like it's just it's tourism down there again. Like tour all the tourists are in the center drinking that. They have this hot wine drink that they put outside. Svajak, I think they call it. Svajak, some shit like that. Um, I don't know anything about this. The TV is on all day. I never heard about that. Read the health from. Yeah, I've never heard of any of these at this website. And this is Prague. This is a legit Czech website called Prague Morning. Prague Morning Specs SCZ. These are legit. But I've never heard of any of these. Let me see if I can recognize a picture. So I'm not even. Yeah, these cookies. Yeah, because we got some of these right now. I think I ate them all, but we these cookies are a thing. These are definitely a thing, and they definitely have like a different like taste or something to them. Let's see. I had never heard anything about mistletoe. Christmas cribs, none. Never heard about that. Christmas tree, I got a Christmas tree up over there. But that's just like a world thing. Yeah. Now this is zizek and potato salad. So they pretty much they just fry chicken or fry some type of beef and feed and give it to you with potato salad. Snezek, whatever you however you pronounce it. And they have a fish called carp, which I just seen carp for the first time. I meant to post that on Instagram. I just seen carp for the first time, and it's like this big. It was much bigger than I thought it was. But they eat that on Christmas, and they kill it. They hit it in the head with a hammer. But yeah, I never heard of this cutting the apple thing and wait to see what's in the center. I've never heard of that. We put candles into nutshells, and I never heard of that. I've been here 7 years, never heard of that. We pour hot lead in the water, never heard of that. Formerly, girls threw a shoe behind themselves, never heard of that. Yeah, I haven't heard any of this shit. They still have a show doing with the little chocolate. It's like this little chocolate book or some shit like that. Let's do chocolate. It's like some chocolate book, and then every day the kid like takes out one of them, but I don't even see it. Maybe I'm typing it wrong, but I don't even see it. Like I said, like these cookies, I have some of these in the kitchen right now somewhere. I don't know where they are. I think I might have ate them all. I can't remember. This is probably the carp fish. Yeah, that's the carp that they eat. It grows in a pond or something like that, or like a small body of water, and it smells terrible. And it doesn't taste really great either. I don't have a problem with the taste, but a lot of people don't like the taste of it, but they just eat it anyway because it's just tradition. Yeah, like those cookies. The cookies have a really specific taste to them. Like they're really, it really is something specific to me that I've ever had. I've never had any cookie that had quite that the like the mouth feel and all that to it. So it's not like how it looks. It's like a regular old cookie. I can't find a chocolate. It's like a chocolate book. I can't find it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know how to. Maybe it's up here. No, I don't even know how to even search. I don't even know how to search for it. That's crazy. It's like a chocolate. It's like this book for kids. Now I'm curious. Now it's like something like well, this is like these are books, but now I'm like kind of fucking mad. Here it is. It's like this. This is it right here. Yeah, and they count down to Christmas. But it's kind of so you see at the top. I can't like outline it. In the top left, it's like an open window. Like they open up every like. But usually it's like this is I don't know. This is kind of a weird one, but it's like more like a calendar, and they just like every day leading up to Christmas, they open it up and get like a little piece of chocolate out of it. I don't even know what it's called. Christmas calendar, Advent chocolate, village toy. Yeah, it's something like that. But it's like a thing here for sure. They do it. Um, this is edible. I could read that. That's not what I'm looking for. But yeah, what's up? Happy holidays, Daniel Corey, to you and yours. Yo, thanks like you too, man. Bread stream. What's the plan for the day stream? Oh man, I'm gonna do something, but figured I keep moving because I'm getting fucking walloped in the U.S. right now. Just personal shit. I'm getting fucking, I'm getting fucking walloped. Well, I have finally made some leeway on my issue, but I'm getting fucking hammered right now in the U.S. But that's the good part about living in two different countries. Like, you can like switch over to the other one when the other one starts to fuck up. And here again, like I'm not the best. There's guys who bounce between 4 and 5 countries like that. When one country starts to fuck up, they go to another one, and when that fucks up, they bounce and they just bounce. I used to know guys who would go to different countries and get and work for a little while, get credit cards and shit, and just max them motherfuckers out to invest in a business like somewhere else. And if that fucked up, they would take out the loan money or something from that country and move it somewhere else. But by that time, the first country's fixed. Then they just like kind of keep doing that shit. Some guys get real lucky the first time and the business takes off and that's just it. And they just never go back to the home country of origin. And there's guys or there's all types of situations. Like there's guys in the US, and this is a common story actually. What they'll do because these people like they would grow up in international families, so they knew how the world worked and they weren't really afraid of credit scores. And in America, Americans are afraid to get their credit score touched, right? But when you look at like a worldwide level, um, places, that credit score, curse words, these things don't really mean as much anymore. So I remember another common thing that a lot of American guys would do who kind of grew up like living, in different countries, kind of thing like that. They would go to college and just take out all the student loan money, as many credit cards as they can get. And if they graduated from college, cool. But if not, they pocketed all the money, saved it, and took it to any other country that they can get into, whatever, and start a business there, and just threw America away. Like that. That's a common thing too. Another common thing is people just leave the U.S. They just leave the U.S. If they just rack up too much debt, shit like that, they just get whatever they can get up, and then just bounce. And just never, because what Americans don't realize is that credit score in North America does not follow you in the world. Right, right. That credit score in North America is only in North America, maybe a North American territory, but like Europe has no idea about they don't even care about my American credit score. Like they don't care. Like it's just not even they can't care, right? Like now America can have access. They can know that if I have a bank account over here in my name, but they can't know. Like there's certain things that they can't communicate on, and that's one area I think is like kind of always interests me when I see people on like social media talk about like your credit score in North America getting fucked up. And I remember those days of seeing life like that, right? Like essentially being trapped in a country and having to live in that country's credit system. Um, I remember life like that for sure. But always like I just kind of get like flashbacks of like being worried about my credit score and all that, or in America like how you pretty much can't even live in a nice area unless you have a good credit score. Kind of like where I used to live. I subleased it to my buddy who he could have never gotten in there because he had a felony and he had horrible credit. Um, but I rented to him, and he stayed out there. But him by himself, he could have never gotten a flat. He could have never. They would have never approved him out there for that because his credit score was shot to hell, and he had a violent felony on his record. And once you get either one of those two, you just America will not let you move into certain areas. But out here, it's not like that. It is they don't do that credit score. There is a credit system, but it's not anywhere near the same way as like your identity out here as it is in the U.S. It's nowhere near that out here, nowhere. But now on the flip side, they don't do like credit cards like that. They don't do a lot of that credit type thing like out. I mean, if you buy a house, something like that, but America does a lot more financing, I think, just from like common speak and common hanging out with people. I get the feeling that America does a lot more of that. But as far as everything else, no, it's not that same. Like when I got this flat, like I didn't have to do a credit score or none of that, nothing. Like there's nowhere I did live where they ran some type of credit score or anything like that. They just wanted to just rent the flat out. What's up, Elijah? Yeah, my Christmas was good, man. I hope yours was good. But yeah, one thing earlier today, the one thing I went on a rant this morning because my girl was in the kitchen, right? She was cooking something. I don't know what she was cooking. And she knows how I think. I said, look, I told her, like, I said, I don't know if I told you this, but I think it should be illegal for women to work jobs. I think it should be illegal for women to work jobs that can alter someone's life, right? Potentially alter someone's life. And I told her, I said, I think women should work jobs. There's something they should work with things that we don't need, but we just kind of like, right? Like curtains. I mean, like, yeah, you pick out some curtains, some shit like that. I think women should be allowed to work those jobs, but when it comes to anything that can like that can either slightly to severely alter a lifestyle or a culture or like bring or like growth, I don't think women should be legally allowed to work. And the reason why I say that is I'm taking courses now. I'm taking graduate courses now, and I was on the phone with my school dude for like fucking 2 hours over a basic like just course change, right? And I worked in community college. A community college could have figured out that problem. But I'm on the phone with two and three women, and they're just fucking morons, dude. And here's the thing. not morons in the sense of just not knowing something, right? Because I get, like, if you just don't know something, you just don't know something, right? Like, everybody makes mistakes. We just don't know. But see, what women will do in these positions is, like, women never want to be seen as wrong, right? So they would rather sit up on the phone with you for 20, 30 minutes, knowing they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but they're trying to say it in a good voice that sounds pleasant, because they're secretly hoping that you talk yourself into believing them that they know what they're talking about, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and everybody's time just gets wasted for hours, right? So then luckily there was a guy academic advisor who just got available, so they forwarded me to him, and we solved the problem in like 2 minutes. Like it was like 2 fucking minutes. Like and when I got the email that the problem had been fixed, like the next day, that's when I went on a rant this morning to her. And I just told her, like, yeah, like, see, this is why women should not be allowed to work um in any type of a real job. Like, anything outside of just making people, any job outside of, like, I would say customer service to an extent, or any job that's just reliant on people feeling comfortable. Like, outside of women should not be allowed to work those jobs without immediate supervision of a man there, right? Because men, like, everybody's just not gonna know something. It's gonna happen. Like, you're just not gonna know something. But men will much rather go, okay, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm gonna let you know I don't know. So either we can just stop it here, or I can send you to somebody else who does know, right? Men will do that more than women. Women will not know what the fuck they talking about, but then try to hide it under, well, hi, well, man, we can look at this. And you'll be sitting there for the next 30 minutes. She knows she don't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's hoping that you just go, oh, I think you're really intelligent. Or she's hoping you go, oh, I'll just leave. But she's never going to initiate the I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about side of it, right? So if you don't initiate it, right? Or what I like to do is I like to just hope. Now, here's where I go wrong. I prey on women in this scenario, in I hope that she'll just mentally collapse and just give me what I want, because I know she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Right? So if I just let her keep talking, there's a chance she might just collapse on herself and just be like, "Oh, okay, here you go, take whatever you want," type of shit, right? Because that is what women will do, that sometimes. But yeah, and the problem is fixed. I got on the phone with a guy. He went through all my emails with me and another woman. That man was able to piece it together, relied it to me, and it said, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And I said, yep, that's what I wanted. And he goes, yep, done, boom. And we was out. That was it. Wasn't much more to the story. Got an email that it was all fixed. The course change had been made. And it was done. Wasn't rocket science. Well, to women, once you start having moving parts in there, because now I tell them I'm living in Prague, and it's like, oh, then they get all weird about that shit. And that's a quote, actually. Too many moving parts. Like, a course change. A course change is too many moving parts. Like, just send them in jail. But on the other note, I finally read Batman Noel, the comic book Batman Noel. I haven't read any, like, just Batman comic books in a while now. That's just Batman, right? Like, is Batman, like, in his, like, he's in Gotham doing his own thing, Batman. I haven't read one of those comics, a comic like that, in a while. Like, no magic bullshit, none of that. It's just him, right, in Gotham. And I read Batman Noel, and by maybe the sixth, seventh page, yo, Batman is horrible. That motherfucker's awful. That motherfucker is terrible. In the comic book Batman Noel, it follows a guy, I think his name Rob or Bob or something like that. And Bob is desperate and he needs some money because he got a kid at home, and they show where his kid lives. And Batman's seeing where him and his kid, and Batman's like, I don't fuck with poverty. I just want to beat up motherfuckers who do bad shit. And Alfred was like, yo, man, like, maybe he's doing something. Alfred's trying to talk to him. Batman is a child, dude. Like, I got it today. Like, because I haven't read a Batman comic in a long. I think the last Batman comic I read that was more based in, like, just him in Gotham, not with, like, Even though Superman does come in Batman Noel, but it's not like he has really nothing to do with it. But like a Batman where Batman is in Gotham, right? And it's just him. Ain't no Green Lanterns and that. It's just him doing what the fuck he wants to do, right? The last one I think I read, it was Batman Damned, and I like that comic book. It was a little magic-y, but it was more based in his world. It's like that brutal, gruesome world that he lives in, the horrible place that Gotham City is. So this is the first one I read, and Batman is awful, man. Like I say this, man. Like Batman is only really cool if you don't have your own kid. If you don't have a child, right? I'll say that. Batman, like when Batman is really Batman in Gotham and he's doing his Gotham shit, like Batman is terrible. He is a terrible human, right? For the most part. I mean, there's always some bad guys who are bad just to be bad, right? There's always some bad guys who just walk around raping bitches and shit like that. Now, Batman should beat the fuck out of them, right? The guys just walk around rock around doing some wild shit. But in Batman Noel, it's like this Batman sees this motherfucker with his son at home and they poor as fuck. And Batman's like, Alfred, I don't fuck with poverty. I just fuck with people who do bad shit. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, for real? This man trying to feed his son. You out here beating his ass and stalking him. You fucking creep. You sound like Goob You too. That's a Goob You too. Stalking motherfuckers. I don't care. That's a motherfucker who gonna have his own. He can't relate. Cause like we doing all right now with the baby, but like, I can't imagine being like financially like that. How the dude was in the comic book financially fucked up and trying to feed his son and all that. That's like next level shit in a place like that. That's rough, man. Batman is horrible. He is terrible. He done fell off my list of favorite heroes now. I don't like that motherfucker no more. Constantine always kept that side to him. But like Batman is a child, dude. The character of Batman is a fucking child. I take back what I said a while back when somebody asked me to compare Joker and the Batman. I said Batman is more of a father. Well, I will say that Batman is more of a father than the Joker. And what they're, at the current state. But Batman is horrible. Batman is a spoiled brat who has literally nothing to do with his time but say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dress up like a bat and just start beating motherfuckers' ass on the street. Just, just because I can and I know they can't win. Because if you know in the comics, in comics and shit, the only time like Batman loves to beat up motherfuckers that he knows he can beat up, right? Like he really don't go out and seek motherfuckers. He not very often. He doesn't go out and try to fight men that it might even be. But by the time the fight gets equal, Batman is now hiding in shadows and using $30,000 gadgets out his asshole type shit. Like, no, Batman, you are a punk, dude. Like, you're a chump. Let just a dude who's like kind of strong be there. Batman is now, he got to hide in the shadows and use a $15,000 grappling hook and all this shit. Maybe you'll get your grown ass up. You grown ass bully. You fuck around, come across somebody who could do what he do, then he be fucked up. Now you got to rely on, what do you really want to do this? I protect the night. What are you doing? All this old fag shit. Now you got to resort to that because you can't. Because you like to beat up motherfuckers. You know who you can beat up. Like Batman is a fucking bull. I don't like Batman anymore. If they're reading Batman Noel, I think he's horrible. I think he's a terrible human. Walking around with a bat belt worth more than what motherfuckers make in a year and shit, and he walking around like he's tough. This motherfucker got more technology in his damn. His motherfucking belt costs more than what most working people make in a year. Okay, I'll tell you this much: Batman's utility belt costs more than all the thugs he beat up put together in a year. Like, that's fucked up, dude. It's not fair at that point, right? It's just not fair. And on top of that, this motherfucker don't work, right? So what does Batman do? He walk around, pick up. I mean, he lifting weights all goddamn day. I mean, like, how is that fair, Batman? Like, you know that's not fair. You know you just a bully now, right? You a bully. You see, you don't work. So what's Batman doing? He walking around. If he has a question, he just spend $15 million for a new bat computer to figure out whatever the problem is, right? And if somebody punched him hard last time he went out, well, guess what Batman gonna do? He gonna go buy a $3 million suit that's gonna absorb the punches. But like, Batman is a fucking punk, man. I don't like that. The more I think about it, Batman is a piece of shit. That motherfucker is he's horrible. Batman is awful. That's sad too, because I like Batman, so I really gave it thought after reading Batman Noel. Batman is awful. He's terrible. Motherfucker's terrible. If you want to be Batman, he'd fuck around and go in there and start rearranging. He spend that bat wealth on rearranging them laws and regulations and you know what I mean, and you know what I mean, and work reform laws and shit. He wanted to be Batman. He go up and pull out his fucking bat law book and figure, yeah, Batman's a fucking punk, man. I don't like that motherfucker anymore. After reading Batman Noel, he's fucking terrible. The only time I think I'd be able to stomach Batman anymore is if he's fighting, if he's just strictly fighting the Joker, you know what I mean? Or if he's off with the Justice League type of shit like that, I can fuck with Batman there. But with Batman, like, as you know what I mean, with his work ethic in Gotham, that motherfucker he's a bully, dude. He's a bully, man. Yeah, I like anybody over Batman now. I like Booster Gold over Batman. You know what I mean? Because Booster Gold's a piece of shit, but he knows he's a piece of shit. Booster Gold knows he's a piece of shit, right? If you really set Booster Gold down and ask him about the shit, you know what I mean? Booster Gold would know, I just want fame for real, bro. I really don't know how to do shit. I got my Google 9000 flying with me, but I don't know how to do anything. Like, if you really ask Booster Gold, he would be honest about it, right? If you really ask Batman, Batman really thinks that he's doing some righteous shit. This motherfucker really thinks that he is a righteous dude. You know what I mean? But then ask him 3 steps into, like, well, who are you beating up 90% of the time? He's beating up henchmen that need to, you know, who need to eat and they got kids to feed. You know what I mean? So them henchmen, they out there for a whole different reason. See, when Batman goes on patrol, right? Batman goes on patrol strictly to stalk motherfuckers and punch motherfuckers in the face, right? Right? But not just him as just a human. In a $3 million bat suit, a $45,000 bat utility belt, a $3 million Batmobile to go do it, right? He's a fucking chump, right? But them henchmen, they walking around there. Okay, now why are those henchmen walking around out there, right? Those henchmen are walking around out there because they don't have any money. They got to get paid. They probably got kids to feed. They got a house. They got to find somewhere to live. They got a sick mother or some shit like that to pay for. That's why them henchmen. See, Batman is the equivalent. Batman to henchmen in the Batman comics is the equivalent of, like, the origins of the black community becoming shit in North America, right? Right? Like, the reason why that crime was happening is because you sanctioned them off into poverty, right? You be like them henchmen, they weren't just walking around living this. Like, Batman's perspective on it is like, these henchmen have the same privilege that I have in life, so they should have did what I did and tried to be righteous. So they chose to be wrong with the privileged life. So I'll just go out there and beat them up for it, right? Whereas the henchmen, like, no, like, Batman, we don't have any money. We need money to eat, right? And yo, that's what it is. So the henchman's out there fucking taking orders. He don't even want to be out there for real, right? He might be a little strong, you know what I mean? Because you got to do that to make the cut, you know, to get paid, right? And then here come Batman swooping in, breaking jaws and fracturing tibulas just because, you know what I mean? Get your grown ass up out of here, you fucking fag. Like, Batman's a fucking fag, man. I don't like that motherfucker. The more I think about it, the worse that shit. I don't even want to play Batman. I wanted to play Batman Arkham Knight again. I don't even want to play that motherfucker anymore. Fuck Batman. I don't play that shit. Horrible. That man's terrible. Be fucked up. I ain't touching no Batman game ever again after that. I was watching Batman Arkham. I was watching the Arkham playthroughs, Arkham Knight playthroughs and shit. They great games. I don't know. I'm cool. I don't like Batman. Batman's horrible. I don't like him anymore. If he was that damn smart, he'd walk up in there and just change and do what he could to change some laws and work reforms and shit. If he was really out to be righteous. Because that's why they out. That's why them bad guys out there anyway, because they broke. Motherfuckers need money. James, I can't feel sorry for criminals, whether it's cartoon or real life. Yo, them Gotham motherfuckers, yo, that place is horrible. Gotham is a terrible place. I never read that. The original How the Grinch Stole Christmas is still a classic. Oh, well, yeah, it's still, yeah. I get what you mean, but criminals don't give a damn about fairness, AD. Yeah. Well, yeah, because but by that point, man, by the time a society ends up in that state, like everybody's just operating off crime, or a large part. I would say a large part of the population, they're just operating off just crime and bullying shit. So yeah, man, I'm not. No, I don't fuck with Batman. Fuck Batman. Horrible. Batman inherited. What's up, Mo? Batman inherited millions, didn't work for it. Yeah, and then walk around with this like righteousness shit. Like, I mean, like with motherfuckers like Batman or like a Donald. I mean, I remember the only thing Donald Trump said that really struck a nerve in me was he said that his his war heroes not captured. That's what he said. And out of okay, the few things I did that I heard that was like relatively offensive, that was a thing that pissed me off. When Donald Trump said, like when motherfuckers get born into money like that, right? I mean, I'm not like hating them or anything like that. But that statement he said it was long because they were talking about, I think he didn't like John McCain or something like that because John McCain was a prisoner of war, and he said he prefers his prisoner he prefers his war heroes uncaptured or something like that, and that was the only thing that like really pissed me off personally, because when it gets to scenarios like that where okay, where you clearly got out of anything close to that because of who your parents were, type of shit, or getting lucky, severely lucky. When it comes to like rich, or your parents knew somebody, something like that, like you have, like, in my opinion, like you should always own that shit, right? Because there was something Mark Cuban, I commented on something on Facebook. Mark Cuban had said some shit, like he said some silly ass shit. What was it? Um, oh, he said if he was working a job or something like that, and he was down to his last $500, he would go on his smartphone and learn a market better than anybody else knows it, and then go and then walk into his job and be like, I want a big piece in this company, or I'm gonna go make my own business. And he's down to his last $500, right? That's the silliest, doofiest shit I ever fucking heard. That is the dumbest shit I ever heard. But okay, because the reality, man, like if you down to your last $500, and especially if you got kids to feed, and you're in that working mindset, that's the last thing you're gonna do is break that sense of security, right? That's the last thing Mark Cuban would do, is break that sense of security. That's the last thing I would do. I know that much. If I'm down to my last 500, and I'm tell you flat out, dude, I will be the first motherfucker in the mall selling samples, Chick-fil-A samples. I'll be your UCAD if let something happen, right? I ain't look. I'm not living under any sense of delusion, right? Anything can happen tomorrow, and next thing you fuck around and see me up in the mall. Would you like a sample? With the toothpick. That'd be me. I be making fun of motherfuckers, but no, I'm severely humble. Look, that could happen to me next week. Anything can happen. Motherfuckers just figure out they don't like you and cut you out, cut you off, whatever the fuck. That'd be me up in there serving at them Chinese restaurants with the little hat. With the little hat, with the little ball, with that little fruffy part on top, and it's red. Like, would you like a sample? That'd be me, bro. Like that. Look, I'm not immune to that shit. I've never entertained that for a second. That'll never be me. It very well could be me. It could be me by this time next year. You ain't gotta take that long. That could be me by January 31st. Is something fuck around and happen? You know, military figure, oh, we ain't fucking with you like that. You know what I mean? Some friends fuck around, but like, I ain't fucking with you like that too. And then, you know what I mean? Some friends or family fuck around and say that. And, you know, and next thing you know, I'm fucked up. Right? So I'm not in that whole trying to sell some shit like that's not gonna happen. It damn sure can. But Mark Cuban said, yeah, if I was down to my last $500, I walk up to my boss and be like, I want a piece of this company, or I'm gonna start my own business. I know the company better than you with $500. Right? Now, to be fair, nowadays you can do a decent amount with $500 if you get lucky and know some shit. But even then, if all you have is $500, even then that's pushing it. You're pushing it, especially if you're like, you know, just a regular average Joe working a job. Even if you don't have kids, you're pushing it. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that's pushing it. That's pushing. But I mean, it's easy to say, you know, in that hindsight type of shit, what you would do if you went broke. It's easy to say that shit. Now, here's the thing. Now, I can say, as long as the military is still fucking with me, if I fuck around and go broke, whatever the fuck, I could just go to the VA and end up getting some type of housing out that shit, right? And that's if the VA still fucks them, because they may wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? You remember that dude? Yeah, we ain't fucking with him like that no more. And then I'm done, right? And I'm out there, you know, in the cold world again, completely, right? I mean, not yet, because I still got, you know, contacts and shit, but it can happen, right? So I'm here. I motivate anybody, but I'm not trying to say like, look, anything can happen tomorrow. Anything. I do anything to make sure you. Thanks, Mo. I appreciate it. Batman here. Trump and Dodger draft didn't even have to resort to shooting himself in the foot. Yeah. See, it's scenarios like that, man. I don't know much about Mark Cuban, but from what I know, he definitely made some good. See, okay, let's be honest, he made some decent moves, but he also got lucky, right? And you also got to add that in. It's luck always plays a part in anybody's success, right? In anybody's success, luck always plays a part, because in anybody, all it had to take was one person to say no, or we don't like it, or whatever, in anything you did, and that could have just been the complete end of whatever you were gonna do, right? So there's a part you always have to acknowledge that part, man. And like, it always frustrates me when guys try to act like, like it was all they're doing and shit like that. That just always kind of pisses me off. But yeah, that was the only thing Trump said was he tried to say something along the lines of he prefers his war heroes not captured or something like that. Like, that dude doesn't know the first fucking thing about just the reality of life for an everyday man who would even. Donald Trump knows absolutely nothing about the mentality it would take to look at the military and say, that's a good idea, I should sign up for that. Right? Donald Trump has no idea that shit, dude. From his fucking walk of life, that dude has no fucking idea what it would be like for somebody to say military and you be like, that may not be a bad idea. That's a whole different socioeconomic culture. Right? I did it. I served the military. I was like, that might be a good idea. Right? Donald Trump, no, them motherfuckers look down on the military, all right? They look down on that shit. And the reason why, I'll go into this. The reason why that type of motherfucker looks down on the military is because here's the thing. Once you have money, okay, see, this is why they can't get taxes out of rich people. Because here's the reality on rich and poor, right? All the poor people are going to do is say, eat the rich, blah, blah, blah. And rich people know, well, all you'll do is say it, and then and you'll live in a fantasy world of eating the rich, and you'll go back off and do the same thing, right? So that's just the reality that's known. The other reality is and this is something that Andrew Tate touched on, which I completely agree with. I actually seen a video where he was in Prague. He was like pointing out the window and he was looking at Prague Castle. But anyway, And Andrew, he touched on his next point is that look, once you have money, there is always some other country that's willing to fuck with you, right? So like, if you got some money that has the potential to be taxed, well, you just throw it in another country, and the other country will never know about it, right? So like, America will just never know, right? Like Donald Trump is never going to go broke. Like that motherfucker has investments in some kind of way everywhere. So like, you're never going to get any taxes out of the rich. You're just the taxes are always going to come out because it's always going to come out the poor people because the poor people don't have connections internationally in the U.S. They don't. Most are just not going to have connections anywhere to do anything, to do much of anything with. So all their money is going to be in North America, and guess who's going to get taxed? Who's going to be highly susceptible to getting taxed on it? Right? It's going to be the poor, the working class poor. The rich are not going to pay taxes, right? Because by that point they're either intelligent or they know someone who's intelligent, and they're just going to hide the money, right? And as you take, he touched on that, and he said some real shit. Yeah, you're never the rich will never get taxed. You're never going to get it. You're never going to get their money. Just give it up. That's never going to happen. As long as society is in the position that it's in now, the working society, the poor, at this rate, they'll never have they'll never have the international the intelligence to move internationally, or they'll never have the connections to do anything themselves internationally. So they're fucking like, and then on top of that, they're stuck in the country under the weight of credit scores and all that shit like that. They're never gonna they're gonna be stuck there forever, right? I agree completely with Andrew Tate. Or like with like a Donald Trump, like see once you like okay, once you in the U.S. Well, I would have said before, once you get to about to if you can get $100,000 saved up, you can essentially live off the interest in many places in North America like that. You can live well, and okay, live off interest in certain types of investments. You can live off interest once you get to like that mode, right? Then after that, life would become a lot easier as long as you just manage it well. But it's like getting up to that point is where most Americans would just never really get to in a healthy way. Like many Americans, they'll get there by saving it over like years, but by that point, they'll be too afraid to move it, do anything with it, because they don't want to get in trouble now because they saved up, what's to them is a lot of money. So they'll never really do anything with it, right? So guess what? They're going to get taxed on their own fucking savings or some kind of way. The government's going to get that money about you one way or another. All right. All right. They ain't going to let you just hold on to it. All of it. They gonna take some of that about you, right? At some point, they gonna get it about you. It may not be a direct, it may not be called direct savings tax, but they gonna get that money about you some kind of way. 'Cause that's how it works. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to start a political argument, but with the MAGA and all that shit like that, I don't mean to start like any type of like, because I really don't care, honestly. Because it's just going. Politicians are like drug dealers, dude. If you take one out, if you embarrass one, you kill one, you lock one up, it's just gonna be 10 more. So I honestly don't. I don't really care that much about political shit. The politicians are like drug dealers. It'll just be 5 more next month. If you take one out, they'll just move on to another one. So like I don't mean to start any type of like I don't really align to. If anything, I've become more conservative over the years. But I really don't align with either side because again, I don't think there's any real point because at some point you're gonna need both sides to you're gonna need both to cohabitate properly. Because here's the thing, in my opinion, if you were to leave too many conservatives around, the conservatives will inevitably drive up the crime rate. Conservatives will inevitably drive up poverty. They will inevitably drive up the crime rate. They will. Okay. Weirdly enough, conservatives and liberals will both end up in the same ending as communism, right? They'll just both. If you were to let liberals go too far, or if you were to let conservatives go too far, I think that they would both end up becoming too harsh and too violent. Both sides would. right? Both it would eventually it would eventually come to that. I think it would take a little longer for the liberal side to get there, but it will still get there. The liberal side it would get to that point because it's just human nature is just greed and gluttony, right? If you just let if you put a house on in the middle of fucking nowhere, if you put a house on fucking Neptune, right, and you just put 30 people in that house, they will do the same thing. Right? They'll start forming alliances, forming teams, forming who's better than who, and what's more favorable, what's unfavorable. They'll do the same thing. It's human nature. So, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter which side would become victorious. It would if either side was left unchecked for too long, it would end up in the same. It would end in the same way. But as far as with the Democrats and the Republicans, um, the Republicans will keep driving up crime. If left unchecked, initially, well, you could say the same thing about the Democrats too. But the reason why I'm focused on the Republicans is because the Republicans don't think that. The Republicans, okay, generally speaking, my opinion on what happens with Republican is this. The Republican kind of sees everything as like just working. You just work to contribute to society, work, contribute to society, work, contribute to society, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I agree with it. But again, what happens is they'll start to sanction off in their own groups, and there'll be richer Republicans and poor Republicans, right? And then, of course, in time, the poor Republicans they'll think they're Republicans, but they're really Democratic. They're really Democrats. But they try to play Republican because they think the rich Republicans are going to take them in under their wing, right? Um, which they never do. Like Czech Republic to Germany, same thing. Czech Republic thinks Germany's on like just adopt it one day and everything will be forgotten and all that, and it's never going to happen. Because of Germans, because they think they're richer and better than the Czechs. It's the same thing with the poor rich Republicans. The rich Republicans think they're better than the poor Republicans. Well, they know what it is. The poor Republicans, they think that they're going to be, whisked away by whisked. Is that the word? Whisked away with the rich guys, and they like Uncle Ruckus when they when he listen to Uncle Ruckus when he touched Uncle Ruckus when he touched his head and he turned white. Let me see if I can find like the exact picture. I might have to pause it, but it's when he touches his head and he thinks he's so essentially this is what the poor Republican like Uncle Ruckus would well he is a poor Republican. He just happens to be black. But it's that theory. That's what would end up happening. This is what the poor Republicans are. This is what the poor conservatives are this. They think that they're going to get touched by the better ones and in turn and be like, I'm welcomed at the table now. I can eat with y'all now. I get to learn the mysteries of the universe now. Like, no, you're never going to get accepted. Just accept it. They're never going to accept you, ever, unless you go off and become your own man. But now, be fair, the Democrats will do the same thing. I think the Democrats will do okay. In my opinion, okay. The perfect example of what the liberals would do was what Spain did when Spain thought they wanted communism. Same shit. They thought that they would just everybody could live in a more equal society, and we'll just all be nice to each other, and we'll all pay everyone exactly what they're owed without anybody there to check it. We'll all just live up to an honor system, and that was the furthest thing from the truth. Right? They gonna start robbing shit, taking shit. You ain't gonna know where nothing is. Right? Because that's essentially what the liberals want is essentially is on paper what communism is. That's what the liberal side wants. It's in terms of economics. From what I've looked into it, they essentially want that, right? And it's just going and that's going to again lead to groups forming and beating up other groups and shit. And it's going to get to a point where it gets too extreme. If you just say something, they'll just kill you or something like that. Yeah, same shit. Charleston. Ross, like, yo, AD, did you hear about the mass shooting that happened in Prague recently? Was wondering what you thought about it. I think 15 people were killed. Yeah, man. Yeah, I posted on Instagram. Actually, I walked down there today. Post on Instagram where it happened. On my Instagram, it's just my first name, last name, Wendell Radford. I posted that on Instagram today. Um, what I thought about it, honestly, like as an American, you know how Americans, how we think about this shit. It's like, oh wow. Anyway, right? Because we had that shit. It happens all the time in the United States of America, meaning the United States is literally 50 times larger than Czech Republic, at least 50 times larger than Czech Republic. So it's like the United States, we have much more united news coverage. And I think that's another area that kind of makes the world disgruntled because they can't really figure out what America is because of that, because it's just so much in one united, culture, language, currency. So I think that kind of frustrates the rest of the world too. But as an American, man, like we used to hearing that shit every day. It's always 3 people was shot at Arby's, 10 people was shot at Walmart. Actually, you know what's crazy? 2 days before that happened, I talked to a friend of mine who I haven't spoken with in maybe like 2 years now, since before my baby was born. And we were talking, and he said, "Hey man, you know that Walmart got shot up in Beaver Creek." I'll actually show you. Walmart. And the crazy thing about it is, it may not let me go on there unless I use a VPN. Because Ohio thinks they're more important than they really are, and they won't let you look at a lot of their shit unless you're on a VPN. Oh, this one let me through. Okay, yeah. So this Walmart, I remember I used to drive purposely to this Walmart, which is out there in Beaver Creek, Ohio, because it was by far the safest and cleanest Walmart in my area, right? Um, and it was just good to just see something different. And so when I didn't know it had happened yet, so when my buddy he called, either I called him or he called me, and he goes, "Hey, yeah, you know that Beaver Creek we used to go to, and there was a mall across the street because we used to go get bourbon chicken across the street and just hang out. It was me and him, and we used to get chill out, get some bourbon chicken, some shit like, and just talk shit for some hours, right?" And this Walmart was across the street from that mall. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's go to Google Maps and I'll show you where it is. Exactly. There's a mall across the street. Oh, wait. I think this is it. So now I gotta use my trusty touchpad to zoom in. So it should be like right here where Walmart should be. Wait. Oh no. Okay, I went up. No, we're in the right area. It's up here. So the mall is over here. That's the mall we used to go to that mall and get bourbon chicken. And the Walmart, we gotta go up here and make a left. And Walmart is back here. And this is the Walmart. If I understand correctly, this is the Walmart that got shot up. This is it. And the mall is over there. So I think this was like a Dillard's or something straight ahead up in there. But yeah, so it was this Walmart, and he goes, and when he goes, and I had him on speakerphone so my girl could hear it, and he goes, yeah, you know that Walmart got shot up, and that was a nice area too. It's a nice area out there. Like the houses, like off in the back, there's money back up in there. Not like millionaires, but it's nice though. It's a nice night. I would love to live there. I'd say that. And he goes, yeah. You know they got shot up. A dude went in there. He just started opening fire. Just started shooting people. Right. I said, what? Like that was the safe Walmart. If somebody did that there, he goes, yeah. So we started joking about Czech Republic, and I said, well, yeah, man. Czech Republic is safe, man. They only have like 5 shootings a week. So that's how we joke. We got like that kind of humor, like yeah, they only have like 3 shootings a day. It's not that bad in Czech Republic, right? And then like literally like 2 days later, that shit happened down. It's crazy how that happened. Crazy how that happened. Crazy how that happened. But yeah, but in America, so to answer the question, man, here it was rough more for me because like I know here's the thing, man. Like I give things too much thought sometimes, and so here's the weird part. So in Czech Republic, there was another shooting that happened like I think like 2 weeks before. It was like a week or two earlier before because I remember a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and that's how I found out about it. There was a guy, there was a 30-year-old guy who was pushing his like 2 month old child in a baby stroller, and somebody like shot him in the head, shot him and his baby, and killed both of them in the woods, right? And so they're trying to link like the shooting that happened in Prague up with that. They're trying to say that's the same guy. Nobody believes it. Like everybody knows it's just their government trying to make people feel safe. Nobody believes this shit that it was the same guy. Let me see if I can find that. Czech Republic. Man shoots father in. Yeah, like they're trying to say that he was the guy who had something to do with it. But so it's gonna bring up. So yeah, when I type this in, it's gonna. They're probably going. They're gonna try to link him to that guy who killed a father and like a 2 month old child. But anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter. Um, I just like I give more thought to like you know what I mean like the like yo that's 15 lives who woke up that morning and didn't know that that was gonna be the last day they was gonna be alive, right? Like that's 15 lives, right? So when me and my girl we went out to eat later that night because we were supposed to hang out with another couple, but they canceled because of that because of the shooting. So we still went out anyway. Um, and I was telling her when we was eating at this horribly expensive restaurant that I'll get into later that I got fucking they got me. I got T-boned. Um, but I was telling her at the restaurant, like, you know, if it was like 14 to 15 people died, 14, so I guess it was 14. I thought it was 15 now, but let's say it was 14. 14 people died, dude. So that's at least potentially 30 people who had to go to sleep that night on that. Like a mother and a father, right? Of those 14 who died. Potentially, let's say that the mother and father were still alive somewhere, right? And that's not mentioned they had brother, them people who died, had brothers, sisters, you know what I mean, aunts, uncles, you know, boyfriends, girlfriends, shit like that, like, or if they could have had kids themselves, right? Like that, like so I just give a lot of that. I was giving a lot of. I probably gave it more thought than most people did. Um, but honestly, I felt more fucked up about it because I know they're not used to that shit, right? They're just not used to any hasteful action. Let's just say that anything that requires hasteful action, Europe is like they don't really get it. Like hasteful, and when I say hasteful, I mean like have something there and ready yesterday type hasteful. Like they don't really get that. Like they move more slower here. Um, so I know like they're just out of their league with shit like this. Um, so she asked me if my dad had asked me if I was okay. I said, look, out of everybody who texted me, because I was getting like a ton of messages, because for like old friends I hadn't heard from in years, but they knew I was over here, like write me see if I was all right. But my dad was the only one who didn't write. He was the only one who didn't message me, right? And I told her, I said, yeah, because in North America, like we just don't care. Like it's just another day to us, you know. So my dad, he's seen it and was like, oh well, I guess I'll call him later tonight, right? Like it's one of them things, right? So we called him on a video call in the restaurant we were at, and he said everything I said. He said, yeah, I was gonna call you like tomorrow morning or something, see if you're all right, and yeah, because in America, you know, it's just everyday shit, you know. And again, I think that's one of the many reasons of why North America people get so frustrated with the U.S. is because it's just so difficult to track how we're going to respond, how we're going to react, you know, these types of things. Like I think it's just so difficult because while the U.S. is a rich country, we have a lot of like relative to Europe, we have a lot of third world crime going on in North America. We still have a lot of sabotagings, killings, kidnappings, fraud. We still have a ton of that, and even though we're a rich, relatively speaking, we're a rich country, right? So I think Europe has a very difficult time, or just the rest of the world has a very difficult time trying to track North America and what we do, how we do, what we think, how we'll think it. I think they have a difficult time because the U.S. is just so massive that you really can't, you just can't do it, because again, Czech Republic is the size of Ohio, right? Like it's the size of a state in North America, right? So here's the thing, like, and see, this is why I go on before about world news. It's like, see, America, okay, when you get on world news issues, right? Well, something happens in Ohio, that happened to the United States, right? If something happened in Milwaukee, that happened in the United States, right? If something happened in New Mexico, it happened in the United States, right? It doesn't make, when it hits world news, it goes United States first, either directly or indirectly, then what state and city it was in, right? But whereas if something happens in Czech Republic, right, it's just Czech Republic, right? They don't say, oh, Europe had another shooting, right? They say Czech Republic had a shooting, right? Right. And the first thing everybody thinks is, oh, Czech Republic had a shooting, right? See, in North America, we don't think Minnesota had a shooting. We don't think Texas had a shooting. We think the United States had a shooting, right? Because the United States is united. That's the key word in all of it. Europe is not united. And I think that's another issue. It's many little things that I think that trickle into the world view of North America, and misunderstandings of the realities of what happened there, and just statistics on a whole. Because so after that, I went and looked up like gun crime per capita. But here's the thing, and America's not number one actually with gun crime per capita, but we're close, but we're not number one. But also, when you think about gun crime per capita, there's many other different areas that are very gray, right? And here's the thing. Everybody wants to say North America's stupid, but I think it's quite the contrary. I think the rest of the world is more stupid, right? And hear me out. The basic theory of you cannot treat 2,000 people how you treat 200,000 people, and you can't treat 200,000 people how you treat 2 million people. You will get different results out of those different quantities of people, because psychological issues start to happen based off of that culture and simply based off the population, right? Right. See, there's a big difference between a typical European and a typical American, right? Because see, in America, we are united, right? You can drive through all the 48 states on the continent, whatever. I'm horrible with this shit, but you can drive the entire United States continent and speak the same language, pull out the same cash money, and generally know the same rules, right? You can do it. You don't have to worry about any of that. Whereas, see, in Europe, that united, see that ability of not feeling united has an impact on the people, right? And I think it's these little topics is what the world, like I said, I think the rest of the world is actually more stupid than they want to believe. In the context of calling Americans dumb, I think the rest of the world is actually more stupid when questioned, when directly questioned about anything, right? Because like I said, just the sheer psychological, just the psychological uh, consequences of being that united. There's no data on it because nobody has really done it in modern times. Nobody else has been able to do what the United States has done so far. Especially in modern day, with this amount of population, there is no history on what to do. So America's winging it, right? Europe hasn't been able to do it in 1,500 years. Europe hasn't been able to come close in 1,500 years since the Roman Empire to becoming anywhere near united. They haven't been. It's been literally 1,500 years since they've come close to it. And even then, you can't compare because the populations were nowhere near what they are today, right? So that they don't get, and that's pretty much the only other. When you count space, population, and unification, as far as I know, that's about the only other. You can count China. But China had their own thing. They always had their own thing going on. What's up, Simon Lewis? But yeah, Mike. Yeah, we're general. Oh yeah, America's generalized. And yeah, we're generalized a lot. Yeah, and I think that that has an issue with world news. Well, yeah, back to the Czech thing. I feel sorry for them because they're not used to that. They don't know what that is, and I told my girl because I read more into Czech history than probably most Czechs know about their history, not like history in the last 20 years, but history like before Czech Republic was like far before Czech Republic was a thing, and how Slavic people were documented to British, how the British people would travel over here and document how they seen Slavic people just walk and talk and shit. And then I showed her documentation from from people from Czech people, the few people who do become educated in this field in Czech Republic. I showed her articles on that from that book. I moved it, the reform laws, and they go into history of every European country and why they're in the position they're in, and more specifically the Czech population. Um, so I read through that section with her. She was actually standing right here, and I read through it. The Czech population, they were always severely segregated, man. Like Armenia is still severely segregated because it goes into Armenia too. There's this, Armenia still severely segregated, but Czech Republic was always severely segregated, and so in their history, like and it was documented again by British explorers who would like come and just document it and just to have documentation on what the people were like where they would go, and it was documented back then that the Slavics like they don't they don't really move fast. They don't commit crimes, but they just but and they kind of just create their own law and just kind of go with that and but they're slow, that slower mentality. They were slow and they were documented like that like 1,000 years ago. They were documented as being like that, right? And so further down the road, when populations grew, when it was Bohemia, Moravia, I think it was separated. I always remember Bohemia, but I can never remember the lower east side. But Bohemia, that was closer to Germany. Um, the Czechs always stayed severely sectioned off into villages of small populations. So when the communists came here, so I think it was like 300 different municipalities. I mean, I'm sorry, 3,000 different municipalities, something like that. And the communists came here and tried to force them to unite. So they cut the total municipalities in half to like 1,500 or some shit like that. And to force that unification on the Czech people because they just won't unite. Like they'll just stay segregated. And historically, they've always been like that. They'll just stay off away, right, in small groups, and they just stay like that. And I was telling my girl, well, the consequences of doing that is you'll never learn anything, and you're always going to stay behind, right? Because if all you ever know is your street corner and Blockbuster and a fucking iPhone, if that's all you and your people ever know, like you're never gonna grow and learn anything, right? And if anything, you're gonna reject anything new because you're gonna go back to what you're gonna know, right? And I think that's a big reason why the country is just behind, and they're waiting on Germany to just hand them some money. So when the communists came here, they actually cut the total amount of municipalities in half to force them to unite. And then when communism left, the Czechs did what they did, and they went back to separating shit. And municipalities went broke. They had to sell each other out, try to form unions, and they've been stuck like that ever since. And again, everything I'm saying like literally comes out that history of reforms in Europe, consolidation reforms in Europe. Armenia is still fucked up. Armenia is even worse off than Czech Republic in terms of population per village. I think the average village is still like 800 people or something like that. When in most countries legally, I think a village is like is an area of 1,500 people or less. I think it is. I think 5,000. If you reach the population of 5,000, then you're legally a town, and then I think like 20,000 equals a city. I can't remember what equals a city now, but it's broken up into like actual definitions of what qualifies as a village, town, and city. And most of Armenia is still stuck in that. Armenia is behind Czech Republic in that. But again, now my theory is because of that lack of contact to water. That's my overall theory. Once you get away from water, you're going to have a lot of hard times with growth, with unification and growth. The people who don't have access, see, and that's another part where America thrived at was that Mississippi River, right? Everybody has access in some form to that Mississippi River to for that ease of growth and development, right? But once you get too far away from water, that's when you well, and that's where Africa's in. Africa is in a rough position. Africa is in a rough position. What's the word I'm looking for? It's geologically, but Africa's in a rough just from like data on water and rainfall. Those two rivers, relatively speaking, rivers, water, and rainfall. Africa's in a rough spot. It's just that is just a difficult spot. It really, and I really feel sorry for Africa because I just don't see a way out of that shit. In much of it, I just don't see a way. If you just look at weather, let's look at weather data. Let's look at rainfall, more specifically rainfall data. Like it's like it's in a rough spot. It either gets way too much rainfall or just like not enough rainfall in many of the places. But then even then, when it does get rainfall, and again, I've never been to Africa. I'm just going off of what I read about it, so it could be wrong. I don't know. I've never been. But when there is rainfall, the water has nowhere to actually flow to. And like the worst thing you want outside of no rainfall is water that's just sitting there because now it's going to give time for bacteria to just grow in it. So it'll just start smelling or be dirty and be gross. So if you don't have technology, which once you get away from water, you start blocking yourself off from technology, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, where it's just going to be so expensive to fix. Most people just aren't going to, most countries are just not going to chip in to try to help because it's just going to be too, it's just going to be too far behind. Now, again, I could be wrong because I've never been to Africa. I'm only going off of book data, and book data can be misleading. So I'll totally admit that for sure. But like I told my dad, like Europe is not very far away from Africa. Like it really isn't. Europe on a whole is really not that far away. I think Europe likes to think it's better than Africa, but in reality, like Europe is not very far away from Europe is not very far away from it. And you can see it now. Again, I've never been to Africa, but the stereotypes of how they see Africa, like I see Europe. Here's the thing, and I said this a while back. I think that's a big underlying reason why the world doesn't like, or let's say like if you get deep into it, like why like it's a common thing to hear like Europeans say Americans are dumb and all shit like that. Okay, the reason why that is another big area is because the world North America treats Europe how Europe treats Africa, right? But Europe doesn't want to be reminded of that. So it's like when the American comes in and America's the big dog, it's like, oh, now we're Europe's like, now we're the lesser ones type of shit, right? Not every single European, but it's like on a political level, it's that when politics come into it, or they try to talk about healthcare and all this shit like that. Well, the reality of it is North America sees Europe how Europe sees Africa. Like we see it as a vacation destination and nothing more. Just like how Europeans don't care about the president of Zimbabwe, the president of Congo, they don't care about laws and reforms and Ghana. They don't care. They don't care. They couldn't recognize the Ghana president. They seen him type of shit. The same, America treats Europe the same exact way, right? Like we, except for Macron and some shit like that. We don't give a fuck. We don't know. We don't care, right? Is that thing, right? And so like the world treats Europe. The United States treats Europe how Europe treats Africa, but Europe they don't like it to become that apparent, right? When political conversations come up. Speaking of Armenia, I learned about Armenian genocide through the lyrics of a band called. I got a book on it over there, Armenian genocide. I got real into the Armenian genocide. That was. I can't remember much about it though. I remember a few pictures where they like lined up people that were dead but they would have to. So real quick, okay, I do remember part of the Armenian genocide. Just when they got caught and they were trying to like hide the bodies out there like concentration camps. They would like march. They told them that we just had to march. They told all the people, all the prisoners, that we just got to march, right? And if anybody started to lag behind, they would just shoot them. right, and make somebody else like bury the body because they were trying to hide the bodies because they got caught. But they were just all marching to the river where they were just gonna shoot them all anyway and kill them and just like throw them in the river and hope they just like went downstream so they wouldn't get caught doing it. But I got real into the Armenian genocide, and I can't remember. It's like the further east I go in Europe, the more my brain just cannot keep at all. I just can't keep any of the knowledge like at all. But I have a book here. It's right here. Oh, this is the insurrection. Wait, I don't even remember what this one was about because I got this a while back. This isn't the Armenian genocide. I got into the Armenian genocide years ago. I got real into that. Again, like when you talk about Austria, Hungary, and all that shit, like my brain, I just cannot retain any of that shit. I can remember Persia's Iran and that whole empire shit. I can remember like tidbits, but I just can never keep it in my head for some reason, man. Like the further east I go, it just like completely falls apart. Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I just can't remember. Maybe I need to just travel over there to see it. That way I could possibly, because I think that's kind of like how I was before I came to Europe. Like I could never remember anything about Europe until I came here, and now I can remember it like that. So maybe I need to like travel over there and like hang out over there for a while, and so I can like start aligning shit better. Because I can't remember anything. Anything I'll read about it, I just can't remember it too long. Africa isn't united on a whole. That's why behind the whole you'll find developed pockets in Africa, but not as a whole. Yeah, like see the U.S. being united, being as united as the U.S. is, that's something to be jealous about. Like at the core, that's something to, like for me because nobody else in modern times has come anywhere near close to that. No, there's been no country in modern times that's become completely close and that efficient at it, right? And America is not the best. I mean, America is not the greatest at everything, right? Like everybody's gonna fuck up at something, for one reason or another. But that unification is what is. Here's the thing: America's unification is something of envy, right, of the world. That sheer sense of unification, because the British Empire, they tried it, but they never really became like comfortably united. They tried, and they tried it essentially in modern day speaking. They tried it first, but they never got really good at completely solidly unifying it, right? Like here's the thing, like right now, it would be impossible. Okay, if you spoke to an American and said, guess what? Nevada's getting ready to go to war with Texas. A motherfucker will send you to the insane asylum for saying some shit like that. Now, it's just unheard. You can't even imagine it. You can't imagine Ohio going to war with Virginia right now, right? There is no U.S. state that okay, if you tried to tell a motherfucker right now that any U.S. state or any U.S. territory was getting ready to go to war with another U.S. territory or state for some reason nowadays, you couldn't even believe it. You couldn't believe it. It's because it's impossible. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's impossible, right? But Europe now, well, okay, the only reason Europe got out of that shit is because America forced that Europe. Well, you Europe had to become united to stay alive and stay under the America after that loan money was given to them. So that's the only reason why Europe got out of that shit was because the European Union. Well, they tried that EEC or ECC shit before, but they had to stay united, and that was all. That was America. If it wasn't for America, Europe wouldn't be as united as it is now, right? And it's still not united, but it's more united than it's ever been before. Fucking, was it Georgia got mad at Poland? Poland got mad at at Switzerland, and Switzerland said we don't like to fight. So Switzerland asked Germany for help, and then Germany got mad at France, and France got mad at Italy. They got mad at Germany, and all this old goofy shit. Like, man. But here's the thing. Ultimately, I'll say this: Europe's weakness is its long history. I'll say that. Europe's weakness is holding on to its long history. It's an outdated history. Because there was somebody who explained it perfectly. I seen on Facebook. They explained it perfectly. They said, to Americans, 100 years is a long time, but to Europeans, 100 miles is a long way. And that explained a good chunk of that perfectly, right? Because if you're younger, you still have the opportunity to change and grow. But once you get too old, you're not changing anymore. It's just, this just is what it is, that type of thing. And I think that's Europe's big weakness. It's holding on to its history. Holding on too long. They gotta let that shit go. Like Ukraine. I said that shit from the beginning. Ukraine should have let that shit go from the start. Cause I'm friends with one girl from Ukraine right now. And she on there complaining because Germany has stopped sending them aid. America, everybody's getting donation fatigue, right? And she went on this long rant on Facebook because she back in Ukraine now because it's all Western Europe's finally kicking them back out and sending them back to Ukraine. And she went on this long rant about how countries they tired of giving them money, right? Everybody just got tired of doing it, right? And she had friends who died. Like she posted pictures of two guys. One of them had like a 6-year-old daughter, and both of them ended up having to go to war, and both of them did. Like it's fucked up, man. Like so, I'm not roasting them. I mean, I'm roasting them, but I'm not roasting them. Like you should have gave that shit up, man. Like what? It's Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like I could see if it was Switzerland. You know what I mean? It's Ukraine. Like Ukraine was historically known to be just untrustworthy for many reasons. But in Ukraine's history for being untrustworthy is because Ukraine started out as pretty much Ukraine was extremely diverse, and that's what kept Ukraine down. Right? That's what kept Ukraine from growing. That just constant diverse population that was funneling from the east and funneling from the west. And they were just constantly there was no sense of just stableness among the people. And so they just could never they could never grow in one singular unified area to the point where their law system is still just archaic. Like it's still just like they just make up laws whenever they feel like it. No, we will just don't follow it. You just literally just make up a law tomorrow because we felt like it type of shit. Like they never got a proper hold on anything, and I don't think they ever will unless like either Russia just takes them over or America takes them over. If neither side takes them over, they're going to stay in that position of being the historically most corrupt country and one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. It just is what it is. I don't hate them. I don't love them. It's just I just speak on my opinion from my experience personally with the country and from what I'm hearing from people I know that's from there, and a little bit from the news because the news is terrible. But yeah, I think that they should have gave that shit up when Russia first came over there. Like, why the fuck? For what? I mean, because they said, like, look, we'll take you over, and we ain't, look, they flat out said, we're going to take you over. Well, it is Russia, so I kind of get that. We'll take you over, but we ain't going to hurt nobody. This is Russia we talking about, so you really can't trust that shit. So I get that part. I take that back. I understand that part. Because you can't trust that shit. The motherfuckers say anything, see. That's one thing I said before. See, when the further east you get, look, you are a sack of bones and meat to them. You don't care nothing about no soul or nothing like that. And God's gonna judge me. Only God can judge me. That shit's a fucking joke to them. Only God can judge me. Yeah, get that shit out of here. To them, you are a sack of bones, meat, and a nervous system. That's it. You nothing else to them. That's it. Nothing. Nothing. Nuffin. You nothing else. You are a sack of bones, you are a sack of bones, meat, blood, and a nervous system. That's it. Ain't no Holy Ghost nowhere in your asshole. You end up in a butcher next week to them. because of that perspective. I ain't never been there. Look, the Russians are who I've known, and I was actually great friends with some Russians in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was crazy when I was in Atlanta, man, because that was the first time I had come across like Russian shit, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it till I came here because I was great friends, and my first girlfriend was Russian. Beautiful girl too, man. I was scared of her too. She was just like, but anyway, and I could never find them because their last name was that was long before I knew the Russian alphabet, so it's all gobbledygook to me. But they showed me. I remember they showed me their real names and all that shit like that. And they had because my cousin worked for the CDC. So real quick story, my cousin she worked for the CDC, and she was actually in the department that was in charge of letting foreigners into the country because they were like high risk or something like that. So for some reason I can't remember exactly why, but they would come through her department to get in for some reason, and and next door they had a basketball hoop outside, right? And so they about to, and I'm like 18, so I wanted to play basketball. And they was white. Well, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. I'll go over there. I seen them out there a couple times. I noticed the girl, and I seen the girl first, and that's really why I went over there because I seen her, and cause she was just blew my mind, right? And I was, I was 18, so I finally made my way over there and introduced myself and wanted to play basketball. And we played because his name was Nathan. I still remember his name. His name was, but in Russian, I think they call it Natan is how they would say it. And we played basketball, man, and we immediately became friends, right? And so after that, like I was friends. So I met his father. His father spoke no English. He spoke English, but his father spoke no English. But his father was real nice, man. He was cool. I guess after he seen me play with his boy, like we were immediately cool. But he couldn't speak English, right? So he used to always like try to like signal I could eat food and shit like that. Like he would just, he used to always had a cigarette, just kind of look at me, and he just kind of like point at shit, like. And he's like, oh, he said you can eat some food if you want. Like that's, I was be like, oh, thank you, type shit, right? And it did. So like and see, I didn't know this was how Slavic people move because this is before I ever come to Europe or anything, right? So I remember like then from there, like I was just invited to their house. You could just go in the refrigerator, get whatever you wanted to eat. I was still too scared to do it because that's not in my, in American culture, not even black culture to do that, right? So I never did it, but I always knew I could eat over there. Then so after time passed, they introduced me to their cousin. The dude like a model, and I told a story about him, but I accidentally like fucked him up. And I thought he was gonna like beat me up for it, but he was like scared of me after that. I think like he was like really weird to me after that. It wasn't like anything like the movies portray Russians as like violent like that, and in my history they were never. Slavic people were always more nicer than me, man. But anyway, and I'll go into how I fucked him up later. So we go up the street to the girl's house, right? Because like she didn't know. I tried to hide it that I liked it because I was like scared. I was shy, right? So we go up to her house. And that was where we would just watch movies. It would be me, Nathan, her, and then like any other Russian family member that would like be in the country at the time. And half the time they couldn't speak English, right? And we would have dinner, and they would order pizza, and they would put fish heads, like cut off fish heads, like on the table. And then that's the first time I had pineapple pizza. Cause I never had pineapple pizza before, and they ordered pineapple pizza, and we ate and we would just hang out, man. And it was real cool, and we would go to the movies together, but it was that thing like so after I got to hanging out with them, I found out that their family had actually bought every house on that street. It was like it was like a housing complex, right? So in America, you know what a housing complex is. It's like a complex with like, newer, nicer houses that are, they're nice, and just a whole area of just like that community. Well, the Russian family had bought every house going all the way up the street. I didn't know that, right? But they finally told me, yeah, our family, did that, and they never locked their doors. They never locked their doors. So if I ever got hungry, you just walk in a house and just go get some food. Now I did do that, and say, oh hey, yeah. And then if one spoke English, like, oh, it's Wendell, yeah, and just wave at them. You in the refrigerator, like, huh? Oh, hey. Я не знаю. Мам halad. Я не знаю. But That was Russian mixed with Czech, by the way. Я не знаю is I don't know in Czech. I mean, я не знаю is I don't know in Russian. Mam halad is I have hunger in Czech. Um, but yeah, so one time, the girl, Nathan, and Nathan's cousin, the dude who looked like a model, we would all hang out a lot. So one time we went walking, and there was like this pond, this like built-in pond, like next to their house, like around this corner. And I was throwing rocks for some reason, right? Like I was just I was just throwing rocks, like throwing them. And I was trying to make it to the pond, right? And the cousin was walking in front of me. And the cousin just happened to turn around and he was saying something, and I just threw a rock, like full, like, and I was looking for the rock, like, where's the rock? Like, I hit him like right in his nose. Like, he was right in front of me. Like, I'm talking, he was like, hold on, let me, where's the camera? He was like, probably right here, and I just threw it like with full strength, like men on film. I threw it with full strength, and I was like looking. I threw it with so much focus. I didn't even look at him. I was looking at the water to see if the rock would eventually. And after it didn't come for a while, I was like, I know my arm isn't that strong. And I just happened to look down and see him, and he was like, "Oh!" He was like, I'm laughing, but I was scared because I know how hard I threw that rock, right? Like I was scared about it because like, did he lose an eye? I don't know, right? I remember I held his hand because I didn't know what to do, right? Because I was like, come on, we gotta get back home. And I held his hand, and he didn't want to hold my hand because it was kind of gay. I get that, right? So like, but I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So we go back home to the girl's house, to the girl's parents' house, and he was just in the bathroom, and he was just worried that his nose was crooked, right? Because he looked like a model, right? And all he was worried about is that his nose was crooked. I'm like, that's all he's worried about is his nose is crooked. Because he was like, is my nose crooked? Is my nose crooked? You know, he was bouncing in and out of Russian and English and shit. Because that's what you mean. Is my nose crooked? Is my nose crooked? He was like, fucked up. So I remember I didn't see him for about 2 months after that. I think he was mad at me for that shit, man. He was mad. He had to have been mad or something. And I remember we went to his job. He was a waiter at some nice restaurant. And he wouldn't even look at me in the eye, man. I felt so bad about that. Like, he wouldn't even look at me in the eye. Like, because we were cool before that. And, like, if I could ever meet him, I just want to say I'm sorry. Because I didn't mean to do that shit, man. Like, of course, like, who would throw a rock at somebody's face at full fucking strength? You see what I'm saying? Like, who would do that? You ain't like, of course I didn't do that on purpose, man. We was all hanging out and chilling, and we was homies and all that shit. They was speaking Russian sometimes. Как дела? That's where I learned как дела. How are you doing? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Как дела? Здравствуйте, как дела? I'm probably pronouncing it horribly because it's been years since I said it. But yeah, man, I fucking tore his nose up. That shit was fucked up. But I didn't do it. I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, man. What's up, Jen? Merry Christmas, man. What's up, AD? I got a PS5 for Christmas and barely passed my discrete math class. Barely passing the final test in comp sci. Yo, but Ronnie, you passed, man. You passed, so keep that shit moving. You passed. All I read was you passed. You passed. Keep that motherfucker moving. Don't look back. Just brush up on whatever you think you can brush up on and keep that motherfucker moving forward. You passed. You passed. And congrats on the PS5 and congratulations on passing. You passed. You passed. You passed. But yeah, so with the Russian thing, so back then I didn't know that that's what they do. They buy the houses, like all going up and down the street, like wherever they go, like they tend to do that. That's like a Russian thing they do. They go there and they buy up like all the valuable shit that they can, type of thing. So a big thing with Czech Republic that I hear, like with Czechs who came across Russians like years, even now Russians can be a bit ridiculous. Like they'll be the loud ones when you go out, kind of thing. If they're not American or British or Scottish, the loud ones will be like Russians, like because but the Russians are usually easy to spot out of a crowd like that because like the women are usually far overdressed and the men are like trying to adopt this hip hop, or either they're far overdressed in a white collar way or far overdressed in a hip hop kind of way. Like it's almost like tacky to a point. Well, it is tacky. I'm not gonna lie. Um, they're usually fairly easy to spot. But what the Russians used to do in Czech Republic is they would go. The stories that I've heard is they would go to the stores like butchers or something like that, and they would just buy like all the meat. So nobody else can buy any, and they would have to go to the Russian. Like what happened when the PlayStation fives came out, and like or like the what's that shit? The hand sanitizer when COVID happened, when people would go and just buy all the hand sanitizer, so you had to go buy it from them for like crazy prices. The Russians were doing that in Czech Republic with like basic, with like food, right? And so there's many reasons why like the Czechs don't like Russians a lot. Like it is a common thing to hear that some Czechs, especially like the older Czechs, like they don't like they just immediately don't like Russians because of how they treated them back then. Because the Russians feel like the Czechs owe them, which in a way like they are right, but like the way they went about owning it was real niggerish, right? And I don't like it. Have like I said, if you go to the center, like you can always tell the Russians from anyone else usually because they're usually far overdressed. Like it's just tacky. The Russians in this demographic, I'll say this, the Russians in this demographic are like the tackiest black people in North America when they think they got some money. Like they want to make sure everybody can see them, type of thing. And like the women, like they'll just be like the women will be like wildly overdressed for like they'll have their nails done and hair done and all this shit just to go to like McDonald's type of shit. Right? It was just wildly overdressed kind of thing. And like those Russians will do that. I'm not saying all Russians are like that, but that population of Russians, they'll do that here. Just like severe, like they don't have a conscience on. I can never pronounce that word right. A conscience on casualness. They just don't get it. It's like either you got to be like severely overdone or you just don't leave the house. It's just really weird. There's a friend of mine who worked at Show Park. He said the friend of mine who worked at Show Park at the brothel. He said that he said because he was a manager at the brothel, and he said like at least once a week there was always some Russian guys who would go in the brothel, get drunk, and and think they could do whatever they want with the women, and the women would hit the panic button, and they would have to break down the door and take the drunk Russian dude out of there. He said it was always a thing. I thought I'd get him on a live stream over Christmas because I thought he was talking about coming over, but he ended up hanging out with his daughters on Christmas, and he moved to some village like way outside of Prague. I can't remember because he has my PlayStation too. He has my PlayStation, not my PlayStation 2. He has my PlayStation VR, and I gave him the controllers. That's why I've been playing games since he has the PlayStation right now. I thought I would get him on a live stream, but because I thought he would come over Christmas. Like Nico and no, Nico is like a Serbian dude. Like I met a Serbian dude, and that dude is Nico, 100%. The motherfuckers exist. Nico Bellic, is I don't know what his name was in GTA 4, but that's real shit. Need that and I because I met a dude like him. He was from Serbia. Serbia is I've never been there. Um um but Serbia kind of, from what I understand from being in Czech Republic, Serbia gets shitted on as like if somebody's going to get paid a severely low wage, like you assume they're either from Ukraine or Serbia. If it's a low wage, especially like okay, if it's a low wage in a professional job, it's a Serbian. Like I've come to that conclusion. Like because some like Serbia, like they pay their young professionals like really low or something like that, from what I've been able to kind of piece together. So by the time they make it to Czech Republic, they're like, working on a doctor's degree and making like $100 a month or some shit like that doing it. And like everybody says, yeah, you must be from Serbia, and they say, yeah, I'm from Serbia, type shit, like, because they know they can get away with paying them Serbs lower wages because they'll do it. But what makes me sick though, what makes me sick, and because I just I just lost my window. What makes me sick is I was on this I'm in a Prague Facebook group, right? And in the Facebook group, they posted that like 70% of like warehouse, like labor jobs, like warehouse jobs, factory work, 70% of these jobs are made available are made available for foreigners to be able to work. So you don't have to speak Czech to work these jobs, right? So of course the Czechs are in there sounding off, you know, say, well, yeah, now Czechs won't work for this wage, so it'll put more Czechs out of, because they're gonna pay them less money and all that shit. So, and I said, like, look, man, like Czech Republic needs to realize its position in all this. Like, y'all ain't the shit. Like, you go 150 miles west, and y'all gonna be the Serbians for real. Like, like the Czechs are in a weird. The Czech Republic is in a very weird position, man. Like they really are. Like they're in a very weird position. Um, for many and I'll say this: I don't think there's many other places on Earth that can have this weird position for many reasons. Because from racial to logistics, Czech Republic's in a weird. The Czechs are in a very, very, very weird spot. Because here's the thing: like Slovakians tend to understand the reality. It's like The Czechs are like kind of holding out again. Like the Czechs are like in this position where they're holding out in hopes of Western Europe to just take them in. Whereas like literally anybody east immediately gets it, right? I spoke with people from Poland. They immediately get it. Like, yeah, we're Poland. We're Poland. You know, we're nothing special. Czech Republic is like trying to hold on to this sense of luxury and, like for example, okay, oh, I didn't tell a story how I got T-boned at the restaurant. My phone's over there. But if you go on my Instagram, I posted a picture of a steak on my Instagram, right? And me and my girl, we went to this restaurant called The Italians and got the steak, right? And I told my dad this story, and he said the same thing I said. One thing that pisses me off about, I don't know if it's all of Europe or if this is just Czech Republic, but okay, in America, when you order something, it is the direct price is written there, so there's no confusion. Right. You order something, the whole price is just right. If something costs $40, it's $40. It's written down $40. Right. In America, if you go to a restaurant, unless you go to like maybe some type of all-you-can-eat buffet, which I don't even think Americans would even do this because it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary complication unless you're trying to scam people, right? In America, you won't see where it's like, oh, well, it's $8 per 100 grams of whatever it is, right? No, it's gonna be a flat rate of $15, for an all-you-can-eat buffet, some shit like that, right? America, like, dude, that the simplicity, cohesion, and simplicity is a value, right? So, so in Europe, well, at least in Czech Republic, it's common for them to like write, you know, well, these strawberries are $1.50 for every 100 grams. Well, I don't know how much strawberries weigh, but if you get the wrong amount of strawberries, you're gonna be mad when you hit that register, right? Because they didn't just write. Oh, well, in America we do like a certain amount of pound. We will do that. We'll do like a certain amount of pound, right? But a pound is also much bigger than like 100 grams, if I remember correctly, because I'm awful with that shit. But if I remember correctly, like a pound is definitely much because they're using kilograms over here, and that shit just gets horribly it just gets terrible real fast. So where most people I know in Czech don't even fuck with it because it just gets too bad, right? So we go to this restaurant called The Italians. I'll actually show you a restaurant. Let's look it up. wine and food. It keeps coming up here, but I don't think that's in the. Okay, no. Okay, that's the one Davidson. Where's the one? Because I tried to look up the one. I can go on Google. I see because I can never find it. I have to. Hang on. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. It's Lichin, Jeppy, Praha Piet. Okay, yeah, here it is right here. This is the Italians that we went to. Right here. This is the Italians. Right? You guys see that, yeah. So maybe I'll hit up this other view over here. Yeah, there it is. The Italians. It's on this corner, right? It's McDonald's across the street. So this is where we went to go eat. Now the Italians is expensive, right? Now the funny part is, again, my girlfriend, she grew up in Italy, so she knows everything they got in there, and she always tells me, "Yeah, is this place is a ripoff because they're literally just selling this stuff at like triple the price because they wrote Italy on it." And that's what I said before. Italy is getting away with Europe on a whole, but Italy gets away with too much shit because of its name alone, right? Some of the stuff is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth what they're asking for. But anyway, I took her there because we were supposed to meet this other couple, but they end up canceling because the guy's girlfriend, she knew people who got shot or knew people at the school. So she was like fucked up and she didn't feel like she'd be great company. So they canceled. So I said, okay, well, I'll take you to, this place. And I got a steak there. I got a steak. And the steak it came to $100 for the steak. I was fucking mad, dude. Like I was mad, but I played it off. Now she was more mad. My girlfriend, she was more mad than I was, right? Because again, she knows how to cook and she grew up in Italy, right? So you can't pull any of that shit on her. You can pull a little bit of it on me, like, oh, maybe it's Italian. But like her, she speaks fluent. Okay, my girlfriend speaks fluent Italian. She grew up in Italy. She went to school in Italy, and okay, and she knows how to cook, right? So you can't get any of that over on her. So she was so mad. She said, "Yeah, I would never go back there again," because she used to go in there and get the focaccia bread, right? And the focaccia bread in there was good. I give it that. It was good. She used to go in there and get the focaccia bread for like $1, and it's like this decent piece you can get, and you eat it like while you're walking type of shit. Because it's a tram stop down here. Like if you just walk down here to the corner to the left, this is a relatively kind of popular tram stop. This is Smiko Vinarajaji right here. It looks old and dirty, and I always said that I don't like it. It looks old. But this is where a lot of people bus to get out of Prague to get to like other countries. No, well, yeah, that two other countries, but yeah, it's all these buses down here. But yeah, I got T-boned at the. I got T-boned. Oh, real quick. So here's the thing. I'm really against cheap suits, right? I hate cheap suits, right? I hate cheap suits. But I will buy anything if you price it right. Right? So there was this thrift store right here to the right. Moja Sekach, which is like my closet in Czech, I think. Moja Sekach. Moja Sekach, right? And I always wanted to give this thrift store a chance. I always wanted to walk in there and see what was in there, right? And I fucked around and was coming home one day and said, you know what? I got some time to kill. Let's just go ahead because I never stepped foot in there out of my 3 years of coming up and down these trams. I never got off in this area, walked around. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get off this time and go in here, right? And I end up finding this tweed H&M suit for like $20, right? And I bought it. Oh, let me go get it. It's in the closet. Let me go get it. It's $20. I'll buy anything if you price it at a good price. I'll buy anything. But let me go get it. I'm gonna get the suit real fast. So this is my $20 suit from the thrift store. Oh, let me make it bigger. Make this bigger. Wait. Click. All right, yeah. So this is my agent. This is my $20. I seen this and I was like, what is that? Oh, that don't look too bad. Right? And I tried this motherfucker on. It's a cheap suit. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how it's cheap because you see this suit. I can do like this. I can actually stretch in it and I can bend over and tie my shoes in this suit because this suit was not a cheap suit. It's not an expensive suit, but it's not cheap at all. Now the H&M suit is a cheap suit, and I'm gonna show you why. So, but again, it was $20, dude. So I'm not mad about $20. So it looks nice, right? And it fits my size too. It fits, right? It's a little. I say it's a little tight. Wait, hang on. You see how it's like kind of stretching in the chest? It's a little small, but it was $20, so I'm not like mad. I'm not mad about it. So like I think it's a little tight because you can see like this, but I think a lot of that is the material too because it's a cheap suit, right? But it's a tweed kind of suit. But see, so here's how you're gonna know it's a cheap suit. This is as far as my arms will go. So like I feel like I'm getting ready to rip the arms. Like it may not look like it, but I can feel it. Like it's not flexible. So that's how you know it's a cheap suit. So like I said, the other jacket I was just wearing is not cheap. So this jacket is flexible, right? Like I don't feel like I can feel it stretch with my body kind of thing when I do this. So I can't do this in the H&M suit. If you can't do this in a suit, then it's cheap. It's a cheap suit. If you can't do this, because I can't do that in the H&M suit. But it was $20, right? At $20, I'll buy it for $20, right? And just just kick it, just hang out and then walk to the store or something like that. See, like I can't do it. I can't get my arms anywhere past here without feeling like I'm getting ready to rip it. Like I feel like it's getting ready to bust, like right here. But it was $20. And I got pants to go with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got some pants. I got to iron it because I steamed it and it's like kind of wrinkled. I can see it right there. I steamed it. But yeah, it was $20. I'll buy it for $20, man. I'll buy it for $20. Now I wouldn't have spent full retail price for that motherfucker. What H&M out here be charging? Them motherfuckers, y'all, motherfuckers who buy H&M out here are rich, right? I don't be fucking with H&M like that. Them motherfuckers they be out there going walking to H&M and Zara, like you motherfuckers are rich. Cause I ain't fucking with that shit. unless I go to Moya Sekach, all right? For a twomper. Walking there with a twomper. Walking there with a twomper. H&M be H&M out here, them motherfuckers are tripping. Them motherfuckers be buying that shit too. H&M and Zara, motherfuckers be going in Zara. I'm like, y'all rich. Cause it's fast fashion, man. It's gonna tear up. I mean, it's fast. That shit ain't built to last. That shit built to be in the trash. That shit ain't built to last for nothing. But that's why a long time ago somebody asked me about suits, man. I said that it's like with suits, man, you can get a suit that'll look nice if you just stand straight up. But as soon as you got to start worrying about heating and cooling and flexibility, that's where suits that's where you're gonna notice for real how much you paid for it. A lot of times. I'm not gonna say every single time, because I'm sure there's some shitty suits out there, and then there's probably some great cheap suits. I'm sure there are. But in my history, do the pants fit well? Yeah, the pants fit well. Yeah. They're not the best. I had to, so it's cheap wool, so it's like itchy. So I tried them on, and I see why the suit was in there, because whoever probably had the suit before, if you just wear the pants like by themselves, the problem that you have with cheap wool is it can be very itchy, or like it'll like bite you, like when you like move, like if you sit down or like move to like a tight position. So the jacket is lined on the inside. Here, see, like, so here's a big reason of okay. So a big thing that really does set apart a cheap suit from a more expensive suit is the lining. Now this lining, I can feel it and I can tell you this is not gonna stretch. I don't even gotta pull it. I can just tell by feeling it. It's not gonna stretch or breathe. Right? It's just it's gonna be polyester or some synthetic material. But the thing that the pants are not lined, right? They're not lined. So when I tried the pants on, they look nice, but when you sit down or get into like a tight position, it's gonna like bite you. So I still had some iron on patches. So I ironed on like where the suit like bit at. Even then you could just take it somewhere and just pay to get it like lined. So to protect from the cheap wool. But but no, the pants do fit well. But I would guarantee the reason why it was in there was because whoever had it originally, they probably sat down in it and felt that after they bought it and realized like, oh shit, this motherfucker's like biting my legs. I can't wear this, and probably gave it to them. But I know how to fix it, so I'm not really mad about it. As long as you know how to fix anything, that's the important part. Knowing how to buy shit is not very important at all. Knowing how to fix something is more important. So I know how to fix it. So, well, I already fixed it. I ironed on like everywhere where it bit. I really should have just got them lined, but and that's not going to be anything too crazy to fix, especially at the starting price of $20. Could trade that steak for 5 suits. Yeah. Fuck it, I got T-bone, man. The motherfuckers got me. They was charging $8 per 100 grams, and I think the steak was no, it was about $80 for the steak. The steak was like 900 grams or something like that. Because the waitress came back and said, "Yeah, this is the best meat we have to offer." It's like, you know what? It's Christmas. Fuck it, let's do it, right? And got that fucking bill. And my girl, she was actually more mad than I was. I was just like, type of thing. But my girl, she was like mad. She was mad, and so we called my dad the next day on video chat. She was actually sitting right here on the bed, and we was video chatting. And I told her to tell my dad what she thought about it, and she thought it was a complete rip off. She thought it was horrible, and she'll never go back. She was like, my girl's legitimately mad about that steak. I'm mad. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. I'm mad about that steak. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to spend $100 on on a slab of beef. I'm not that was a L for me, right? But I told my girl like okay, I told her, well, you got to remember I'm from the U.S., so like the money I'm saving on car insurance alone is far. What I'm saving on car insurance, beer, food, rent at this point. What I'm saving in so many different areas, like an occurrence like this is not. I mean, it sucks, but it could have been a lot worse. Like if I had just stayed in North America, I'd have been spending 10 times that L on like basic living necessities type of shit, right? So I'm not like super shitty. I'm salty. I'm still salty about it, but I'm not like super shitty about it. Like my she's more mad about it. Again, see my girl, she's more mad because again she grew up in Italy, so like she knows the Italians are full of shit. That restaurant is full of shit because they're just getting over by selling Italy on shit. But let's go to Novi Smeek. Let's go to the mall. So they're rebuilding all this area. Oh, so yeah, this is old because yeah. Oh wow, I remember this. Yeah, like they rebuilt all this now. This isn't here anymore. All this is like new shit. I remember that when I used to be there. Yeah, fuck. Now it's like all. Maybe I should take a picture of it. If somebody can remind me and text me, I'll take a picture of this area tomorrow. Cause I remember when this used to be there, and now that they've built like all new shit like all over there now. But the mall is like about 2 blocks down. So here's the Angel area. I think I posted something like, or maybe I was gonna post on Instagram and I never did. But so yeah, I'm trying to go up here. Why is it not letting me go up the street? It's not letting me go up. So I show you where my butcher is at. This is my butcher. Where is he at? This is where I go to the butcher. Right here. That's my boy in there. Maso, I don't even know how to say that. Ujenini? Ujenini? I never seen a word with two eyes in it like that. Can you see that? I never seen a word in Czech with two eyes in it that close together. I'm gonna text my girl and ask her why is that? Because I've never seen a word with two eyes that close together like that. Because maso is meat. I don't know what uzenini. Because on the side right here, underneath that shopping bag, it only has one eye. Maybe that was an accident. But yeah, that's my butcher. That's where I go to get my beef ribs and shit from, where I cook them in the crock pot. That's where I be going. Let's see what else. Because this is a 2009. Yeah, so like, wait, hang on. What's in here? Because yeah, see this is gone now. I don't know. They've changed a few things in there, and because that was like some Greek restaurant I think for a while, and oh, there was a thrift store up here I went in, and that was terrible for men. Thrift stores in Czech Republic are terrible for men. Like I get why men dress in like such poor fashion because like the thrift stores in Czech Republic are awful for the most part. Unless you just get lucky. So there's a thrift. Yeah, this is a textile. For this thrift store for men, it was absolutely awful. It was like one small rack of like just old, horrible clothes. Like you can't wear any of that shit, dude. If you try and get some pussy, you can't wear any of that shit. Now there was a textile in another area that was nice by Nelly Sheeta. Let me look that up. That textile was nice. Hello, Sheeta. Where is it? Is this it? Maybe this is it. Wait. This is Nail Tree. Because this is where I showed you guys last week, where the traffic was like backed up for miles. Okay, wait. Here, yeah, it's gonna be over here. If it'll let me go, I don't know if it'll let me go because that's a walking area, so it may not let you go if they were using Google Maps. I'm gonna try to go the best way that I know. But this is the best because you can because I wanted to buy some corduroy pants out of here for like $10. I ain't had corduroy pants in fucking 30 years, dude. But I got I got the notion to wear some corduroy shit, right? So I walked in this actually I walked in the textile to be real about it. I walked into this thrift store. Wait, hang on. Where the fuck? Wait, I'm confused. I confused my damn self. Let me shut the fuck up and figure out. Oh, okay, yeah, back here. It may not let me walk up there because it's a walk. Yeah, here it is. So textile is right here. This is the other one. Now this textile has some great shit in it. This has some nice right now. You get some nice shit out of there if you want to go to the thrift store. You get some because when I was it was some sexy bitches walking in there to come shopping for shit. They was like hi to say hi to me and shit. In America, them bitches think they too good to talk to you walking in a thrift store. This textile place has some nice shit in there. And the reason I went in there was actually to find my girl some clothes because I'm putting some of her business on the street because I've been drinking. But because she all self-conscious about after having a baby and just that this is the heaviest that she's ever been. And she really ain't fat, but this is the heaviest that my girl, she's never been, this big before. But she's not like fat, but she's definitely bigger. And so she don't want to spend a lot on clothes. So she's like all like, oh, what to do? So I started going around looking for cause look, I'll buy secondhand shit like that, dude. Like I'm not like I'm not that type of dude that like don't touch secondhand. Like I will buy some secondhand shit real fast, especially if it's at a good price. So I started going around at these textile places, and And that one's got nice shit for it has some real nice shit for men and for women. So if you ever come to Prague and you want to see it, I'll take you over there. It's over here where this Franz Kafka head is, or is the Franz Kafka head is right here, but this is 2014, so it's like it's under construction. But this is where the Franz Kafka head, which is like this. Hang on, I'll show you. It's this metal head that like moves. Is it this? So that this is what it looks like now. For some reason, what I just do? Okay, so that's what it looks like now down there. For some reason, this is back in 2014 and it's all under construction. But that's what, and it just like shifts around. I think it's overrated. You'll see people on Instagram post it as like they'll post it as a bucket list thing to go see. I think it's overrated. I never liked it. I thought it was, it's something to look at, but I mean, it's nothing to go to travel for to go look at. I think it's very overrated. Maybe I'll post something on Instagram with them fixing it because they were fixing it one time. But yeah. Ooh, I don't even remember any of that going on 2019. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you hear, hold on real quick. You see this Corvette right here? See over here, that motherfucker's balling with a Corvette over here. That is a status symbol in Europe with a Corvette. Now in America, Corvettes, I mean, they can be expensive, but they not like, that's not, I mean, they can be cool and all that. But in Europe, that's like next level for them. I remember when my dad first came here, right? And we went to a park because I drove him to the mall. It was me, my girl, and my dad was sitting in the back seat. And I drove him to the mall. I drove us to the mall in this underground. And most malls will have underground parking in Czech Republic. Some have above ground parking, but most have underground parking. And um, our I remember there was a Chrysler 300M like sitting way away from all the cars, right? And I told my dad's like, you see that? See, like, yeah, in Europe, that's a foreign car to them. A 300M. Like a 300M. Motherfuckers working at Arby's drive 300Ms in America. A 300M. Like, yeah, but in Europe, oh, you better not touch it. You better not touch this 300M over here. Them motherfuckers, you gonna call the police. A 300M. But no, but to be fair though, this Corvette looks pretty fucking nice. Like this looks like a better model. This looks like a sharper model. But yeah, there's a lot of. Here's the thing. But here's the thing. Like, see, in Europe, now this is just my opinion. I think that a lot of guys who get these Corvettes are trying to like they're hoping to trick you to think it's a Ferrari or for women to think it's a Ferrari. In my humble opinion, I think the reason why guys get Corvettes like this is the hope that women think it's a Ferrari for real. But then if they hear it's a Corvette, then it's like, oh well, at least it's an American car and play that role. But in my humble opinion, I think that's the only reason they get these cars. And then because they always get them in red. They never get them in like black or anything like that. In my humble opinion, I think that's the main reason why they do that. But I'm just generalizing. Here's a real quick trivia. These cars right here, these are for tourists to buy the rent the ride around in them. They're actually classified as tractors in Czech Republic. They're not classified as cars. In the legal system, they're classified as tractors. But yeah, so this is back to where I ended off the last video last week, being in the square. We're Foot Locker on the corner. That's where I ended off my last live stream. Talk about this Foot Locker. I always talk about that Foot Locker. Chrysler 300 look like a Phantom. Yeah. It's a Chrysler. Now there is a dude who has a Rolls Royce on this street. I don't know if it's a newer or older one because I don't know Rolls Royces like that. But you know a Rolls Royce when you see a Rolls Royce. It's definitely a Rolls Royce. But there's a dude. There's a dude. There's somebody who has a McLaren, a Rolls Royce, that BMW hypercar. Let's look that up real fast because I never knew what that was. It's no, maybe it's not a hypercar then. Maybe I way over exaggerated that shit. But I think it's an electric. Let's do BMW electric. I think this is it. Yeah, it's a dude on my street who has this exact car. Yeah, and the one time if you watching, man, I sent you a picture of it because you told me you were in the. I think you told me you were in the cars. I sent you a picture of it, and he parked it like next to the dumpsters. Like he was like, but it's a dude on my street. He has this car. I don't know how much is this car. I don't know anything about cars, like the NFL cars, any of this shit. Oh wow, that's like a $500,000, almost. That's like a $250,000 car. I didn't know that. But yeah, there's a dude on my street who has this car. He usually parks it down there by the dumpsters. There's a guy who has a McLaren. There's another guy who had a Ferrari. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's still here or not. And there, like I said, there's a guy that has a Rolls Royce. And I'm over here with a Ford Focus, with a 2000 like with a fucking 2000 Ford Focus. With a 2004 with a hatchback. Your boy in Prague with a hatchback. That's what it is though, man. Like, yo, I don't. Hey, like, it's cool. I mean, I think it's a cool. I think cars are a waste of money, man. Like, okay. Let's be clear. I couldn't afford this car. I don't want to even sound like I can afford it because I can't afford it. But personally speaking, like, I don't. I mean, I would drive it if he gave it to me. But I mean, it's cool. I think it's a great looking car. Don't get me wrong. I really do. Yeah, he usually parks down there, but he parks on the end by the dumpsters, by these recycling dumpsters. And there's always like, well, of course you're gonna have in Europe, you're gonna have Mercedes and regular BMW shit like that, and everything in between, all the cars in between. Yeah, I thought it was a hypercar. I overshot that shit by a mile. Old Volkswagen Bugs cost the same as new Toyotas here in Australia. Word. My dad had an old Volkswagen Bug for a little bit. Because he was always in the older cars. He was in a car club. He's in a car club now. He did have one of those Volkswagen Beetles, one of those old ones, those old ones. I didn't really like them back then. Now I like them. I really do enjoy. I like them now. They have like their own thing going on. But that's crazy. They cost as much as new Toyotas. That's crazy. Viper ACR. What's that? Oh, it's a Dodge Viper. But it's like the racing edition or some shit like that. SRT. Okay. Oh yeah, I used to love. Oh, do you remember this show? If you like Viper. Yeah, this show. Did you ever watch this show? Because after Knight Rider fucking kicked ass, dude. Like everybody was trying to chase Knight Rider hype of a car that could like protect motherfuckers. And everybody failed horribly. But I used to like this show, man, because it was the best thing I had after Knight Rider, right? So this show, it was a Viper that can transform. I don't think it had an AI though. I don't think it had like an AI like kid in it. I'm pretty sure it didn't have an AI. But the motherfucker would it. Hold on, let's see if we can watch it transform. Let's see if we can watch it transform. It had see this shows my age. It was like poor 3D quality. It was horrible, but it was the best shit we had, man, at the time. It really was. Is it playing? Okay, it is playing. That shit like it was made on a Commodore 3000. That shit looks terrible. That shit was awful. Y'all need to be fired. Get the fuck out of here. Now, that one don't look too bad, how it started out. And who's that bitch in the heel? You see the bitch in the heels back there? You see her? Ain't that crazy, the power that women have? All they gotta do is just be shaped a certain... I was looking at the bitch in the heels in the top left. I wasn't even looking at the car. I was vibing. But Knight Rider was the shit, man. You can't beat Knight Rider, man. Knight Rider was just... It was Knight Rider. That looks good. That doesn't look too bad for the 90s. That really didn't. That last part didn't really... That really didn't look too bad. How fast it was rolling and shit. I miss it because I'm fucking drunk now. That don't look too bad right there. That doesn't look too bad at all. Yeah, that looks awful. They should just skip that whole scene and just made it transform later. That don't look too bad. For the, this is in the 90s, man. So you gotta take into account as it was in the 90s. So they didn't know what the fuck they was doing. Them motherfuckers would have transformed a Snickers bar. You'd be like, yeah, this shit is hot, ain't it? Then they had a Knight Rider show where it was like a team of Knight Rider cars. Was it Team Knight Rider? What was that shit? It was a Team Knight Rider? That shit was dookie too. But I used to try to make Lego cars and make my own Team Knight Rider, but that shit was garbage. They should have just left that shit. The new kit wasn't that bad. Knight Rider 2008 really wasn't too bad. It wasn't like the worst. It wasn't the worst thing. But Team Knight Rider, that shit sucked. They just didn't know what to do, man. Like, okay, in my opinion, nothing. I didn't like anything from the 90s, man. It was just me. Because my girl, look, okay, last night, this is how bad it was. Last night, me and my girl listened to Mariah Carey for about 3 hours when my girl went on a tangent about Mariah Carey. This bitch know more about Mariah Carey than half of North America does, right? How she found Mariah Carey, then she had to learn English just because Mariah Carey sung English, and that's how she learned how to sing and all this shit like that. She know more about Mariah Carey than North Americans know about Mariah Carey. All right. And it's so bad that Facebook started showing me all Mariah Carey shit because Facebook been wiretapping the whole conversation. So now all of my fucking feed is just, all I want for Christmas is you. And it's Mariah Carey all down my fucking feed because Facebook was listening to Alexa and now it's all just intertwined now, right? So now it's like I got to click not interested and all this shit. Cause we was playing Mariah Carey. She know all the albums. Kelly Price, hope they're saying this out. Can you hear Kelly Price in this? Like, motherfucker, I don't know who Kelly Price. I don't know. I couldn't tell Kelly Price out of a lineup. All right. I know black bitches in America used to like Kelly Price. White women, you can't find a white woman in North America who knows who Kelly Price is. Black women knew who Kelly Price was. My mom knew who Kelly Price was. Okay, but Sharon down the street did not know who Kelly Price was. All right, Kelly Price was strictly for the Negroes. All right, but she knows she's white. My child's mother is white, and she knows all this shit. Yeah, Kelly Price, I can hear Kelly Price in this one. Like, for real? It's just singing to me. I don't. Yeah, this was on the album Emotions, and this was on I can't think of other ones now. I just remember that Emotions. And she knows everything about Mariah Carey. How the fuck do you know this much? Have you been teaming up with Goob U2 and y'all been stalking this bitch? How the fuck? Why do you know this much about Mariah Carey? Like, I mean, I don't have any problem with her. I mean, I'm sure she's fun to hang out with. But I mean, it's Mariah Carey. Like, it's cool. Not really, it's not worth. I don't even know how to spell Mariah until I think about it. Mariah. Is that how you spell? I don't even know how you spell her name. But that's me. But she went on a tangent. But to be fair, I went on a tangent about Michael J. Fox. Because that motherfucker is fucked up, right? And I love Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. And because she texted me one day, I was somewhere, and I was watching a Michael J. Fox interview. Let's look it up. Let me see if I can find the one I was watching. J. Because it was a new one. It wasn't. I wanted to watch this one, but I ain't make it to that one. It was this one. It was this, yeah. Because I remember the black dude with the braids. This was the one I was watching right here, right? And he is fucked. Yeah, that's fucked up, man. Like how a disease can just do that to you. He is like, because I imitated him to her, but I feel bad doing it on the internet, right? But I did it. Because it always sounds like I'm roasting. I'm not roasting people. It's just me trying to communicate. But he was like, yeah. So I went to the store and I didn't know what, and they said I didn't like yo, like this man lives like that, man. Like I'm not even trying to roast. Like he lives like that. That's fucked up. I can't even imagine living like that. And he just look exhausted because he can't stop moving type of shit. Yo, man, yo, man, like Michael, Back to the Future, man. Like that's all I've ever seen with Michael J. Fox that I can remember right now. Back to the Future was the shit, man. Back to the Future. Are you kidding? Back to the Future was the shit. And to see him go from that to living like this is fucked up. Like I can't even imagine living like that. Right? Like he can't stop moving. Like how the fuck can you not stop moving? Like think about it, like for real. Like it was so bad because I sent her a link to it, to this one, what I was watching. And she knew him, but I think she only knows him because I talked about him so much. Because he was great, man. Like Back to the Future, man. It's Back to the Future. It's Back to the Future. It's Back to the Future, right? And he just like he has to live like that. He's living like that right now. He's somewhere on Earth right now living like that. Like that's fucked up that a disease can do that to you, man. Like that's fucked up. That like he's a better man than me. Like he's living through that shit, right? So when I imitate, I don't mean to like make fun of him, even though I'm always it's gonna look like I'm making fun of everybody because that's just how I talk. But like how does he just I can't even imagine that shit, dude. Like that is next level shit. And he can't stop. So he just like constantly doing, yes, I went to the store and I didn't know what to do. And so I went over there and he can't stop doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, man.
Did you realize you were drinking to deal with the diagnosis, or were you drinking to deal with how you were coping?
Well, I was a burly boy. I was drinking because it was Friday night. It's Saturday night, it's Sunday night, and Monday and Tuesday was coming, and Wednesday was around the corner. I just like to party. But then what happened was when I got diagnosed, it turned nasty. He's raving about.
Oh man, like how do you even drink like that? You know what I mean? Like, how are you even drinking like that? You can't sip out of a straw moving like that. You mean maybe the tremors calm down. I don't know. I'm curious now. How the fuck do you even eat and drink? Like I'm curious. Like, I want to know. Let's Google. How do you eat and drink? Do you eat and drink with Parkinson's disease? How do you even do this shit? See, they talking about food and diets and shit, man. Like, I want to know, how do you actually eat with this shit? I don't want to know about nutrition because you think you getting ready to find some eternal youth through diet bullshit. How show a motherfucker eating? Okay, let's do this. Eating with. Oh wait. Yeah, I'm drunk. I should just typed in eating. Okay. Okay, so let's see how is she doing this shit? Because I'm curious
I
now.
don't enjoy my food like I used to do. I'm not tasting it. I'm eating because I'm hungry, not because I really love the taste. I mean, I've lost 5 stone since I've had Parkinson's. Lily, my granddaughter, says I make the best pancakes ever. It's one of the things that is easy for me to make because it's whiz it up in a jug, throw it in here. I don't need both hands to be in control all the time. I need to whiz up my pancake mix. Since I can't chop, mix or cut, this is brilliant. See if I can manage not to get flour everywhere.
It's good having so many sons now.
Yeah. And I've always taught them all to cook from an early age, which is obviously turning out to be a good thing now that they need to help. I don't do a lot of chopping and peeling anymore.
Do you like having your mum so regularly, Jane?
Yeah,
You love it because I'm cool.
Yeah, what you say is cool. She can like turn up to a pub when I'm there with my friends and they all talk to her instead of me.
Just before I was diagnosed and just before I lost my job, James was actually working full time and could afford to pay a decent amount of board. But then he went back to college and back to uni and he's skint as well. So we've gone really to being like a one-income family.
How's that changed things?
I worry about it. I worry a lot.
What do you worry about?
Being able to survive financially. We're not a wealthy family. We don't run fancy cars. We don't eat amazing food. And you just kind of think, how will we survive on even less? I think somebody from the medical world needs to explain to the benefits agencies that to put us through extra stress and upset won't do us any favours. I'd love for some of these politicians to sort of spend a week or a month with us, see what it can cause, the worry and the upset. I'd try not to think about it because I could soon get upset about it and it's not good for us. Will you get those 2 batons out of there and go set at the table? You see, I'm quite economical with food. I have made him save all the bones and the rest of the...
This ain't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a motherfucker like Michael J. Fox, like that. Like, I'm looking for a motherfucker moving around. Hold on. I want to see
Did
how
you realize
motherfucker.
you were drinking to
Look,
deal-
look. This okay. Michael J. Fox is literally just sitting there listening to a motherfucker and coming up with a response. Now watch how much this motherfucker is moving. And I want to know how he's eating and drinking alcohol.
with the diagnosis, or were you drinking to deal with how you were coping?
Well, I was a burly boy. I was drinking because it was Friday night. It's Saturday.
How the fuck are you drinking anything? That's what I want to look. Look, my mother. Okay, drinking with Parkinson's. I want to know. See, okay, now they're gonna say, "Oh, I use alcohol." Okay, now I want to see a motherfucker drinking with Parkinson, with Michael J. Fox level of Parkinson's. Yeah, okay. I mean, okay. To be fair, they probably like shy about it and shit like that. They don't want people to see it, and you know what I mean, some shit like that. So I can understand that. Like, they probably don't want people seeing it because that's fucked up, man. Like, I can't even imagine living like that, man. Right now, somewhere on Earth, Michael J. Fox. You know what I mean? The motherfucker who I've watched in Back to the Future is somewhere right now being just him, right? And he's just him. Whether he's having a drink or he's watching TV or he's on the phone or maybe he's just staring at a wall somewhere, right? And he's living like that in some degree. It may not be that intense, but in some degree he's at that point, right? Like, how the fuck is, like, does he have this, like, is he scheduling his eating schedule around his tremors or some shit? Like, how the fuck, like, is he actually, like, does he actually feel tired? Like, because his muscles are still moving, right? So it's burning up calories doing that. So does he feel tired? Does he do it when he sleep? I don't know. I don't know anything about, but now I'm curious. Like, is he doing it when he sleep? Does he wake up exhausted because he just moving while he's sleeping and shit? I don't like. I'm curious. I'm genuinely fucking curious.
And then Sunday night, and Monday and Tuesday was coming, and Wednesday was around the corner. I just like to party. But then what happened was when I got diagnosed, it turned nasty. It wasn't about fun anymore. It was about exiting from the situation, exiting from relationships, exiting from responsibility. So I kept the teacher for 7 years. Over the period of that 7 years, I got sober. We had more children. I grew fuller in my understanding of what it was I was dealing with, and coming to grips with like that one doctor said to me, "You don't win this, you lose." And like, I mean, as you probably tell from the first part of the documentary, I like to win. I like to.
Did you realize?
So okay, so I want to make it clear too, because I know I sound like I'm making fun of him, right? But as a person with history, and my girl, she knows this part of me too. Well, she knows this part of the reality, right? Now I don't know Michael J. Fox at all, right? But if I had to guess, right, people do not want to be identified by being old or having a disease or whatever. So they don't want you to go, "Oh, sweet honey, blah blah blah." Like they like if anything, like these motherfuckers want you to talk direct to them because they want you to see them as a human first, and then the disease like 10th down the list, right? Like and I think in modern day, especially in the West, there's so many people who are infatuated with finally being able to identify with being different and being awkward with a name, right? So you can't make fun of the name anymore because now it's my name. And if you make fun of that, now you're just as bad as a racist and all this stuff, right? But when people genuinely suffer from issues and problems, right, they don't want to be directly okay. Like you wouldn't walk up to a black person and be like, "Hello, black man." Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Like no, like you want to be seen as a human first, and then the black later, right? Right. And so like typically speaking, like generally speaking, like when it comes to like populations that suffer from like some type of disease or being handicapped, whatever the fuck. Let me tell you something. Michael J. Fox has the most darkest humor that most motherfuckers would have. You know who else has the worst, who has some of the most blackest humor? And I told my girl this, and she doesn't, I don't think she really is on my side because she's kind of mad at him right now. My son's doctors, right? So in Czech Republic, well, anywhere, you take your kids, to the doctor. Well, in Czech Republic, you have to take your kid to the doctor, you have to take your kid to the doctor in Czech Republic. I don't know how it is in other European countries, but in Czech Republic, you have to take your kid to the doctor. You don't pay some crazy copay. It's free. It's free. That whole thing. But you have to take your child to the doctor, right? And the kids, every baby quickly learns to just start crying when they see the doctor, right? When they see the doctor come out, every kid, when they lay eyes on the doctor, they immediately just start crying. Right, like when you walk into the waiting room, there's other people in there with their babies, and somebody's in there before you, and the baby's like totally fine, chilling. When they see that doctor, they immediately start crying, right? And you just hear it like the whole time, and then like your kid doesn't really like know yet, so like your kid's still in a good mood, like, "Hey, they didn't get me, motherfucker! Let's play with this race car now." And then when it's your kids, like I remember the last time we took my son to the doctor, and it was our turn. Like I was holding him this time because usually it's just all about mommy. Like when mommy's there, I don't exist when something serious happens, right? So I think he's starting to flip to where like daddy can now exist now. So I remember I was holding him and we went to the doctor, and he didn't really get it. We went to like the other little section where we got to like undress him, and I was just getting ready to put him on the table to undress him, and the doctor came out, and he looked over at her and went, and like hugged me like so hard, which it's gonna bring a tear to my eye because it's just that human thing, like to have somebody grab at you that hard, right? For like safety, for his perceived safety, right? Because it's he has to have it done because it's a doctor's appointment. So his perceived safety was at that point me, and that was a big changing point because before it would have been mommy. He would have just reached right for mommy, but he didn't reach. Mommy was standing like right next to me because she was speaking Czech with the doctor, but he just grabbed around my neck and like wrapped his legs around my waist and like wouldn't let go, dude. And so I was like saying like, it's okay, little baby. It's okay. It's fine. I talked to him like a baby. It's okay, little baby. And I talked to him like he's a baby. And I tried to and if I even like tried to tip him over, he just grabbed me even harder kind of thing. And it's it is a sad, it is a sad thing to go through. But you as an adult, you have to do it for his own good. But he's like terrified, So the doctor leaves, he calms down. But yeah, I forget why I even got on that rant. I forget, because I've been drinking too much. I forget why I got on that rant. But from what I hear in America, when you have a small kid, you don't have to go to the doctor until the kid's like 2 or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but I never had a kid in North America, so I don't know. But here, yeah, that is a thing. They just go fucking crazy. Yeah. And then like he just doesn't like. So here's the thing right here. Here's a thermometer. I keep it on my desktop computer down here. I put this thermometer on the power button on my desktop, right? And the reason why I put this thermometer on my desktop is because he's terrified of his thermometer. Right? And he kept turning on my computer and it would just run out the room and the computer would be on and the screens would start coming on. He would do this shit like, 2 or 3 times a day, right? So I figured out, well, he's terrified of this. He doesn't like I think babies don't like anything metal, right? So including a thermometer, the way you would think the metal tip right here. So he hates this thermometer. And so the last time we used this thermometer on him, he cried so hard that he threw up like all over me. Right? Like, he's like, he cried like so bad. But I put together like, okay, it's a thermometer, and I don't want him to touch my desktop computer. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this thermometer on the power button on my desktop computer, and the computer hasn't been turned on ever since. So I keep it. So I keep it right on the desktop. He don't touch it. But yeah, no, but okay. Again, let's go back to reality. To take your kid to the doctor, man, like that. Oh, well, she doesn't like the doctor. Okay, so real quick, Nick, why is your girl? Okay, so she's mad at the doctor because the doctor was mad at her. They weren't mad, but they were like saying like little womanly remarks about her not having something like the health insurance, something with the Czech health insurance wasn't right or something. And I could tell she never got over it. And so she doesn't like, she talks to him and, do all that, but she doesn't really like him. It was something about, it was early on, something about the Czech health insurance. Like he should have had some paper filled out or something. And she didn't. And at that point, I kind of didn't like them too because I feel like they were kind of clocking me as like a dirty immigrant kind of thing. And so like at that time, like I was starting kind of not to like them. Oh, I remember why I got on that rant now. But yeah, but I don't think she ever got over it. But I got over it and just start talking to him and shit. But I tell you that's why I got on the rant is those doctors have to have some black humor, dude. They have to have dark humor. To their job is every day listen to babies cry while they, hold them and touch them. Like them motherfuckers gotta have some dark. I told my girl, I bet you if we meet them at a bar, those motherfuckers will have some crazy jokes that'll have me in tears. Cause I can handle dark humor, like, okay, so I get how like the world is with like black and white people and this shit like that, and like black people are kind of seen as like a sensitive thing to touch on and talk about, whatever. But it's like when it comes to like dark humor, like I love dark humor. Like we can talk about it. I totally get dark humor. So I bet those women have like the best dark humor jokes. If their job is to listen to babies cry all day every day, that's their job, dude. Is a well, new baby come in, okay, and just he's just crying in total fear the whole time, kind of thing. I bet they have the greatest stories to tell. I bet they have some great. I know they have some crazy stories to tell. But yeah, man. Yeah, it was sad because like he was like grabbing me. He didn't because he didn't want the evil doctor to touch him, and all they do is just put the stethoscope on him. Like they don't really, it's just literally just like the stethoscope. Well, you look at his dick too because he's not circumcised, and that's like a thing outside of the U.S. Like circumcision is like, from what I understand, it's pretty rare. So I told her like, look, I don't know what to do with an uncircumcised dick. I'm circumcised, so I don't know how to clean that shit. Like I don't know what to do. So they're talking about getting them circumcised like months later. And from what I understand, in America, like they do it pretty relatively. From what I understand, Americans, we do it like early, but here they do it like later, much later. So I said like, yeah, like he has an uncircumcised dick. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know because I know you got to clean. I've heard you had to clean it and shit like that. I don't know what to do about that. So I guess I think we're gonna have him circumcised. I don't really know. I don't really know at all. But yeah, they just put the stethoscope on him, weigh him. Nothing too crazy. He's just always just crying the whole time, and I'm just like kind of just standing there, well, because after if I let him down, then it's just all mommy after that. Here's the thing. He's good with people outside of mommy if he's not aware that, okay, if he has a quicker option, he'll fuck with me. But like if mommy is like, if mommy is like immediate, then mommy's number one, right? But if any other option is there, then he'll just go down the line from there. So like I'm next in line, right? He doesn't like his grandmother at all, like because his grandma lives in Germany most of the time, and she's back for Christmas now. So like from what I understand, like he doesn't like his grandmother like at all, unless his grandmother is like the only option there. Then he'll fuck with her, but like he doesn't like her at all. He likes his uncle. His uncle and his like great uncle. He likes them, but he doesn't like grandma. He doesn't like her at all. She loves him, but he doesn't like her. And to be honest, I didn't think he liked me. I really didn't. I didn't think he. I didn't think he liked me too much because I'm always kind of gone somewhere or doing something, or she's gone. So like, there's plenty of times where we would go like a week without seeing. Well, I would go like a week without seeing him for whatever reason. Like I'd be gone doing something, or she'd be gone, or like the schedules just mismatch for whatever reason. And like I would seriously think he wouldn't like me. And time and time again, I remember one time I got real sick. And I got so sick I didn't want him around. I said, look, keep him away from me because I'm just like, my fever's off the charts. I'm super sick, all that. So she kept him away from me, and I was sick for about a week. And when I drove out to the village they were at, as soon as he seen me, he just like tilted his head up and was like smiling. Like it's the second he saw me, like, and I did not. And then I remember I held him because at this point, like if mommy was around, I couldn't even hold him. Like, okay, so when he was small, I couldn't hold him without him crying until mommy held him again, right? So as he got bigger, I can hold him as long as mommy wasn't there, right? But then he kind of grew to this point, like, so if I don't see him for a while, he'll let me hold him because he misses me. Because how I know he misses me is he'll let me hold him, one, and mommy's like sitting right there, and then two, he'll lay his head down on me, and that's how I know like he missed me, kind of thing. But I really never expected him to ever miss me or like me. I never expected him to like me, honestly. And here's the thing: I don't live my life expecting him to like me. I strictly keep that as like fourth down the list. My number one priority is to make sure he has a make sure he has the best education I can give him. To make sure he's warm, he has food, he has water, he has, and make sure his health is good. Whether he likes me or not, that's none of my concern. Or whether if other people think I'm a good parent, that's none of my concern. My only concern is that I can make sure that he's taken care of. Um, Whether he likes me or not, that's none of my business. If you work in the medical field, our sense of humor is messed up. Oh, Mo, I'm sure it is. Yeah, you probably seen some crazy. You told me what you did for a profession. Yeah, I'm sure you seen some ridiculous shit. Like Denzel on Fences. Yeah, yeah. Whether he likes me or not, that's none of my business at all. I can never control that. I can never control that. That's none of my business. Now he happens to like me now. That can change in a year. I don't know. I mean, of course, I want him to like me. I want everybody to like me. I don't want anybody to not like me. But I mean, I don't. I have no control over his views or anything. I have no control over that, and there's no sense in wasting time over hoping. The only thing that I can control is that I can do my best to send him to a good school. I can do my best to ensure that if he chooses to go to university, that's going to be paid for. I can do my best to ensure that he has food, warmth, clean water to drink, clean water to bathe in. Uh, and when we hang out, I play with him as much as I can. Um, I never hesitate to go on it because he always comes to me and like pulls my hand, pulls my finger. He always comes because he has like the pacifier in his mouth. And he always comes to me and like pulls my finger. Like I'll be talking to Esmeralda as I call her, and he'll come to me and like because Daddy's the one who plays with him. Like Mommy doesn't really play with him like that. So Daddy's the one who plays with him. So like if he wants to play, he'll like come and like grab my hand and like or grab my finger and like pull me like literally pull me like right over here because his toys are. Hang on. Well, hope I don't lose connection. His toys are down there, and there's a Christmas tree over there. I couldn't find the lights. They're somewhere in the closet. I couldn't find the lights, so I just said fuck it and put the Christmas tree up. But his toys are right there. So he always pulls me down, and then he like pulls me down, right? To sit down on the floor with him. So I always sit down on the floor with him. And he always wants and he usually doesn't even want me to do anything. He just wants me to sit there with him. I don't really know. I mean, he just wants company, I guess. So I sit down with because every time I noticed that about 3 weeks ago. Like he used to always pull me to come kick a ball with him. Well, that kind of ran its course. So now he just pulls me to wherever he wants to be, and then he just goes off and does his own thing, and I'm just kind of just like sitting there like, what the fuck? You didn't pull me away from everything I'm interested in. Now I'm just sitting here lost. And I mean that's what it is. Like that's just life right now. I can't wait to see. Hopefully next Christmas I'll still be here. We'll all still be here, and see what he'll turn into. What is in a year from now. But yeah. But I say this, man, where I started to stream out before, Batman. Like, Batman is a fucking child. And I don't like him. Because Batman needs to have his own child. Having this whole Damian Wayne bullshit, like, that's bullshit. Now, Bruce Wayne needs to sit in that Batcave with a 2-month-old before that motherfucker can say he can do some real shit. Because here's the thing. I was talking to the guy who I spoke about him last week. He got me interested in pursuing my doctorate degree out in Olomouc, Czech Republic. And we were talking because that guy he said he grew up with siblings much younger than him, so he understands like how siblings can be like severely annoying and all that shit, right? And So I told him, yeah, well, and we got on the topic of me being in the Marines for a brief period, and I said, here's the difference, man. I would say raising a newborn is rougher than the Marines. And the reason why I say that is because the Marines fucking suck. Don't get me wrong. It's terrible. But with that being said, um, with that being said, if a drill instructor or somebody like just screams in your face, like you can take comfort in knowing you would like to punch them in the fucking face, right? Because you know this grown ass man can take being punched in the face, right? Whereas like when it's like your fucking son who's fucking like a month and a half old and won't stop crying, it's a bad time of day. It's hot. You're in a bad mood. You're hungry, or you really want to go do something else, but you're stuck here with this crying fucking baby that won't shut the fuck up, right? It's these moments that parents don't like to talk about because they're afraid of being seen as a bad parent. But every parent goes through it at some point. See, it's in these moments where you really start coming to clashes mentally, right? Like I want to punch this motherfucker in the face, but it's a baby, dude. This motherfucker can't take that, right? And one day this baby's gonna be 16. One day this baby's gonna be 30, right? So like all this, like when it's here's the thing: when it's just you going off in the world, when it's just you going out there getting fucked up, screaming, yelling, fighting, right? All you're thinking about is you. Maybe your parents at some point, but mostly it's really just you, right? But now when you have a baby, right? It's never just you anymore at all. It's not just you anymore. It's so not just you anymore. Now it's trying to keep some type of cohesion with the baby's mother. If you're separated or if you're together, doesn't matter. But you're trying to keep some cohesion with that, and you're trying to keep some cohesion with the baby, and then you're not trying to, and then you're realizing like parts about yourself, like the baby's frustrating the fuck out of you. This motherfucker. You know how many times Kratos went crazy, and I was getting ready to go. Beep, beep, beep. Hello, orphanage. I like to reserve a spot for one new addition. you got a free spot, orphanage. You know how many times I want to call the orphanage on this little motherfucker, right? Because he just had it was bad timing, right? And see, it's these moments that you just cannot understand. I see it now. Before I had Kratos, and now before, you just can't. There's no way you can simulate that until you just have it, right? And I think a part that is really specifically interesting to me is like when people go their whole lives and never have kids, so they never get that, right? There's a whole part of life and losing yourself that you just absolutely cannot simulate on any. Owning a business, none of that. Owning your own business, running Mike, being Bill Gates, none of that will ever equate to having this little version of you that you have to deal with, right? None of that. You just can't. There's no way to do it. There's no other way to do it unless you just do. So when people say, "Oh, I don't want kids" and all this shit, it's really one of those things. Saying you don't want kids is saying a person saying they don't want kids or they think they'll be a bad parent and all that is the same thing as saying I'll never like the flavor orange, and the person never ever tried anything near an orange before in their life. Like they don't know. Like there's no way to know. It's really is a specific thing. It really is. And back to the growth part, I think there's just a certain part, like Batman specifically is just a fucking child. Now compared to Joker, he's an adult, but compared to, the working man with 3 children, Batman is a fucking child. Batman is an immature, pathetic child. But there was a movie, I think Robert De Niro, where he said, the working man feeding 3 kids, that's the real tough guy. And I completely agree with him. I'm not a working man, to put in perspective. I work, but I'm not like completely reliant on my work to survive. But I'll sit here and humbly tell you, I agree 1,000% with that. The working man who has to go, the man out there right now who is driving a bus, right? That's the real tough. The man who goes out there 5, 6, 7 days a week and does 40, 50, 60 hours a week. That's the real tough guy right there. All right. When he got kids that's dependent on him, a family that's dependent on him, that's the real tough guy. I'm not tough compared to that. Batman's not tough compared to that. Batman don't know nothing about that. And I humbly say that. Until you have your own child, even to begin to comprehend what that shit is just it's like trying to understand what it's like to walk on the moon. To Lance Armstrong, right? Like you just can't do it. It's just no. But I think people okay. Because here's the thing: I watched nephews. I've had a stepson who was a year old, right? And now I've had my own child. Having your own child just doesn't compare to any of that. None of it. None of it. Because you know, here's the thing, even the most deadbeat of parents, even the most deadbeat of parents has mentally had to go deeper than someone who's never had a child. Right? Even the most deadbeat, the most deadbeat of deadbeat parents have had to go deeper at some point than someone who's never had a child. There's just no competition. There's no. It's hard to have a kid in America since a woman can manipulate the kid against you to get child support. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I totally agree with that, Mo. Yeah. Providing is basically the only thing a man has without that. Yeah. I remember those 60-hour weeks in my 20s, no kids though. Yo, man, yeah. And I don't mean to minimize a person's life who doesn't have kids because everybody only knows what they know, right? Like I only know what I know. You only know what you know. People who live in this building, you only know what you know, right? So like to you, what you think is like a lot is a lot. What I think is a lot is a lot. Blah 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 blah. Right? Um. Okay, read Batman Noel. That was a comic book that I just read earlier today, and that comic book follows. It follows a man who's working for the Joker, and Batman comes in, and it's a man who's he's apparently a single father, and he's working for the Joker to get extra money to pay for medical bills, and Batman's just this dude he has no awareness on what it's like to be a father at all, where Alfred kind of does. Here's the thing, man. So here's the dilemma I'm facing right now. Is I might have a work assignment in Tampa. I might be in Tampa, Florida. Right? And before I had a child, it wouldn't have been a second thought. Because I was already in Jacksonville, Florida before. Randomly through the Chapter 31 program. Right? But now I got a child. Now I got a family, right? And potentially either LA or Tampa can be two places where I'd be on work assignment for a few months, right? Now I got to factor in like leaving my son behind, across the country, right? And there's guys who do it. I'm not trying to act like, nobody's ever done it. There's guys who do it all the time, but it's definitely more levels of growth for sure. I don't want to say growth. Let's phrase it into awareness. Let's say awareness. I think awareness is a better way to put it. Right. So here's another dilemma that I'm facing. Right. On top of I'm probably going to end up in Florida in a few months. For a few months. The other dilemma is getting older, right? So I'm 37, I'll be 40 soon. And that constant realization that, like, because my mom died when I was younger, but my dad's not going to be here forever. And my safety net is running out of having daddy around at some level, right? If he doesn't have the money to take care of me, well, just his presence, right? At some point, like, that's going to run out, right? And on top of that, I have a son to take care of, right? And then the deeper part is how many people can truly relate to my situation that I can talk to as, you know, having hope and belief in, right? So with that being said, who is it? Okay, do I want to keep hiding behind having a parent around, or should I start converting into being completely independent, right? Like, these are deep topics that most people will never ever, even anybody who's watching right now, your parents don't want to talk about this shit because it's rough shit to talk about. But this is my profession. This is what I went to school for, so I have to find some peace with it. Especially over drinking Jameson all night. Hope I don't regret it later. But yeah, I'm reaching that point of, so here's the thing, like with anybody out there with their parents, like your parents may have been a piece of shit, whatever the fuck, but you got to remember, dude, like your parents was just a dumb teenager at some point who didn't know what they were doing too, right? So like, and I think that gets overlooked a lot from many children to parents. It's like my dad was just my dad was just a dumb teenager who had no idea what he was doing. It had to figure it all out as he went, right? And that's essentially what I was, And of course, some wires are going to get crossed. I may take things out. I may take out some things in the wrong areas from time to time because that's just part of growth. And the older I'm getting, the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that, look, like, anybody who was on Earth before you, they were just doing the best that they can do with what they had. Whether it was racism or whatever the fuck, they were just doing the best they can do with what they had, right? But my perspective now is my dad could die next week, right? Because there's people dying younger than him from for no reason, right? They ain't have to get shot or nothing like that. So my dad could die next week. Next thing you know, I'm in Europe and I'm alone, right? But okay, but here's the thing. Let's say my dad lives to be 100. Well, and I don't mean to minimize my father by any means, but in life, I just went my own path. That is I think from my perception is foreign to him, right? I've moved to another country. I started a family in a whole other country, speaking a different language. My dad has no concept of that shit, right? In reality, right? There's no way he can because he never did it, right? So like from my perspective, like he can't, like if everything goes to shit, like I mean he'll try to be there as a dad, but he does, like he's not in his league to try to help me, right? Because I've gone above and beyond that shit, right? So ultimately, like see, and here's the parts where people who travel, see, they don't talk about this in their streams or videos. Like you end up more alone, especially if your parents never did it. You end up more alone because like you don't really have many people to talk to and to bounce like real thoughts off of, when shit happens like this, or just thoughts happens. Thoughts will happen. My dad died 2 years ago when I was in college. It hurts, but you have to keep moving forward. My sister cried, but I just dealt with it. Word up. Oh, 3 years ago? Shit. It's crazy, man. Sorry to hear that, man. I understand what you're saying, AD. I am lucky about my family. It must be rough for many people this time of the year. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Christmas time? Oh, man. Like, Christmas time is rough for people who don't have families and shit like that. Oh, or had a severe death in the family. Oh, holidays are the worst days. Easily. Oh yeah. Many people are lonely this time of year. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Here's the thing, because here's the thing. So my girl, she grew up in a family, like in well, she didn't have her dad around, but like she did have that strong sense of family. Now I didn't have a strong sense of family. I do have family, but like outside of my dad, my family's really spread out. Not like logistically, but just like mentally. They're just like they're not, you know, constantly around each other, right? Whereas like my girl's family, her family, she grew up constantly around people, right? And this is another reason why we don't live together right now. Because I'm used to being alone, whereas like her family's like always over her flat. It's always people walking around in the background, and that shit disgusts me. I think it's disgusting, right? Like I don't like just people just coming over, hanging out. Just yeah, I don't like that shit. Like I think it's disgusting. Um um so they celebrate Christmas on the 24th, and logistics got fucked up to where like she went back to her family, and I could have gone out there, but I said no, I'm cool. I'll just go home and be alone, right? I'm totally happy with being alone. And she felt so bad for me that I was alone on, you know, on their Christmas holiday. I mean, I'm like, I'm totally fine, right? But she grew up like that. So for her, like, I think that's like another kind of culture clash. Is like she feels the need to like she has more value in just like being with people, whereas like I don't have that same reciprocal value. Like I just all I care about is everybody's warm and has food, and you know, as long as everybody's warm and comfortable, be wherever the fuck you want to be, type of shit, right? But with that being said, I'm putting her business out a little bit on the street now. She didn't grow up with many. She's never been to a funeral, right? And one thing that I'm waiting on is for her mother to die. Because she doesn't know what that's like to lose somebody that she doesn't know. She has no comprehension on what it's like to have so much love for somebody and to know so much about somebody and to have them die, right? She doesn't know what that's like, and that's one thing I'm secretly waiting on her to like go through, because she's had friends who it's happened to, and I tell her, I say, look, when them friends call you, pick up that phone, right? I don't care where you are. Just the act of you picking up that phone when their mother, father dies, brother, sister dies, whatever. See, just the fact that you picked up that phone, even if you in the middle of shopping and ringing shit up, doesn't matter. See, just the act of you picking up that phone can mean everything to them. So if because she had an old female friend, an old colleague. Well, I say old comparison to her. Her colleague is like 65, right? And her colleague's mom died. And I said, look, her name's Lucia. I said, look, when Lucia calls you, I don't care where you are, pick the phone up. If she calls you, I don't care if she's drunk off her ass, if she's high as fuck. I don't care where she is, what she's doing. When you see her name pop up on the caller ID, pick that phone up. All right? You can be busy as fuck. Don't listen, but just say uh-huh. And just be there, right? I tell her that. I tell her that, right? Because as someone personally, because I've lost many people personally, right? I know how important that is, right? But she doesn't know yet, and the sad part is she won't be able to learn it until she just goes through it herself, and then she'll get it. And I told her like those are the best and worst lessons to go through. Is you have to go through it to know it, right? But she doesn't get it yet. She won't. She wants to try to get it because she wants to please me in understanding, but she doesn't get it. It won't happen until it happens to her, and she'll be fucked up, and then she'll get it. Or maybe who knows? Maybe she won't get it. Maybe she might revert to some deflection period. I don't know, but she doesn't get it yet at all. It's like having a child. You can't get it until you get it, until you do it, until you go through it. Then it's like you can start to remember shit. Yeah, Lucia, her mom had died about a year ago, and I remember that because Lucia held my son. She was one of the first women who held my son when he was born. Because I remember they were standing in the kitchen, and she held him, and he fell asleep in her arms actually, and her mom had died, and yeah, that's just something you just can't know until you go through it. You got a good. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And, stories like yours make me not take my father being alive for granted. I'm lucky I still have him in my life. Yeah, man. Yeah. I tell you what, Javi, if you're still on, man, like try to just have like every conversation you have with them, like all the uncomfortable conversations, have them. Like just throw it out there, dude. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, Javi. Like your father knows where you are, and like, cause he was you at one point. He looks at you and says, "I used to be that." Right? Now you don't see that, but he looks at you and sees. Like my dad looks at me and sees that. Um, um, um. So I'd say as a word, as advice, I would tell you, look, any question you have about anything, about his life or anything, just throw it out there because here's the thing. He might chuckle. Here's the thing. Your father, Javi, I'm speaking to you personally. He might chuckle. He might laugh a bit. But the reason why he's chuckling and laughing is not why you think he's chuckling and laughing. The reason why he might chuckle is because he's going to remember when he used to think that. And how does he phrase it to not offend you? The response, right? Because the real response, you may not be ready for that yet, right? So he's gonna chuckle and think, how do I word this to not to be truthful, but at the same time not, because I don't want to hurt my own son, right? So and it really is. I can see that being a delicate balancing act. But ask them. You know what I mean? It's like because after my mom died, I always wanted to ask her about her first boyfriend and what did she think, and all these things. I can't ask. She's dead. She's fucking in the ground in Dayton, Ohio, right? So I can't ask her anything. And any if I ask anybody else, well, they're just going off of rumors, so they don't know, you know. So yeah, ask them anything. Talk about embarrassment. Javi, I tell you, Javi, here's the thing. What I want to tell you, man, your father's still alive, ask him embarrassing questions. Tell him embarrassing shit. He already knows the embarrassing shit that you did. All right, because he used to be you. Okay? Ask him embarrassing questions. Tell him embarrassing things. Because the chances are he probably did something more embarrassing than you did. He just may not want to tell you, but he did something more embarrassing than you. I guarantee it. He's not some magical, omnipotent being. He was a kid just like you, who was in any financial problem you think you have, any psychological issue you think you got. There's a good chance he's at least you're doing the same thing that he did. Just like I'm doing the same thing my dad did, and my son's doing the same thing. He's going to do the same things that I did. And he's going to be ashamed of something, and I'm going to look at it and be like, oh, that's nothing to be ashamed about. I did this and this and this. But he thinks he's ashamed of it, right? What's up, AD? What part of LA you might Garden Grove, which I Googled it and they said Garbage Grove. Garden Grove. And it got a really bad review, so I guess it's a rough part of town. But I'll be on assignment. Garden Grove. I seen it was in LA somewhere. Oh, it was near LA. Okay, so I'm sorry. Correction. It's near LA. It's south. It's not in LA. It's near LA. Sorry about that. So I'm not far though. If I were to end up out in Garden Grove, I wouldn't be too far. But yeah, either Garden Grove or Tampa, Florida. That's what it's looking like right now, but who knows what can happen. My dad was my hero. He raised my sister and I never understood how difficult that is until becoming an adult. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. And it's difficult being a. I mean, I'm sure it's difficult being a mother from a woman's perspective, but it's difficult being a father too because, like, as a father, like, see, women they originate in emotions, but men, like, it's hard for us to regulate, crowds of emotion. So, like, when you deal with a family, like, you got to make sure, like, what she's seeing is working out and what the baby's seeing is working out or the kids are seeing is working out, right? And then on top of that, it's up to you to make the call if you should be more dominant now or later. Because the woman, here's the thing, because the woman's always judging you, dude. Like, it never stops. So, like, but it gets to a point where you just gotta leave. Like, that's what I did today. That's what I did, man. Like, because I had to work through thoughts about something, um, and my girl's mother calls, or she was in panic over that. So I said, look, I gotta go because I just can't deal with random panic. Because that's what bitches do. They just random panic. Women and children is just constantly random panic, and I have to think about some serious shit. So I left. I went down to the center and walked around a bit alone to keep from, like, yelling at the kid or yelling at her type of thing like that. See, here's the thing. There's another part. Um, I'm sure you read stories or hear stories about, like, parents become, like, alcoholics, like serious alcoholics, shit like that. And the old and here's the other thing. The older I get, the more I don't have patience for is when kids blame their parents for being okay. Okay, this is what I don't have patience for. When kids blame their parents for, like, drug usage and shit like that. Now I don't do drugs. I drink a little bit. I don't drink anywhere near as much as I used to, but I do drink a little bit. But now, as a parent, when I hear, like, Eminem's songs about his mom, like, the first thing I think about is, like, do Eminem, you were the baby. Like, do you have any idea how annoying you were and the position your mother was in to even deal with you? Like, Eminem, like, on a personal level, like now I don't know what Eminem's mom did to him, but on some level, like, babies are terrible. Dude, like, babies can be they have their times of being awful. Like, I'm sure as a baby I was fucking awful. My dad was awful as a baby. It's just what babies are, right? So, like, the fact that Eminem's mom, okay, the fact that anybody's parent, I don't care how bad the parent got, but the fact that anybody's parent hung in there on any level was, you know, says enough, right? Right. Because there was a movie scene where I think it was Kristen Bell and Wanda Sykes, right? And Kristen Bell was like, she was complaining to Wanda Sykes as a therapist, saying, like, I don't know why my mom is she drinks a lot and she's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And Wanda Sykes says, well, you know what happened? You want to know the truth? She goes, well, in all honesty, your mother was probably not a bad person, but she had you, right? And for the first 6 months, she didn't sleep because you didn't sleep. And then when you did sleep, you woke up every hour wanting some food, right? And then after that, you wouldn't eat, right? But then when you did eat, you throw up all over her for the first 2 years you was alive, right? So your mother wasn't that bad. The problem, it was you. You was the one who triggered that, right? You was the one who started that shit, right? Now, okay, to be honest, I don't drink around my son, right? At, I, okay, there's a couple times, okay, I don't drink. There's a couple times I had a beer, but I don't drink, especially if it's just me and him. I will never, and I have never drinking any alcohol drink or done any drug, anything, like, especially when it's only me and him. The only time I will drink any bit of alcohol is if someone is there who I can trust, who knows how to raise children, right? The friend of mine who has my PlayStation, I drank a beer when it was I met him when it was me and my son, and he happened to be in Prague, and I met him at a restaurant, and I paid for all our food, but he has two kids, so I drink a beer with him with my son. But my son fell asleep as soon as we got in the restaurant, and I'll drink a beer with, of course, with my child's mother if she's not drinking, right? I'll do, but if it's me and my son, absolutely not, absolutely not. I don't I'm not saying I would do something dangerous, but I don't even trust myself with being with I would never do. I just at this point in my life, I just cannot see myself drinking, not even opening a beer or liquor, any whiskey, anything with if it's just me. It just doesn't even cross my mind at all. When I'm with my son alone, the my perception of being alone with my son is okay, I'm on the clock until mommy gets home type of thing, right? And until mommy gets home, I'm on the clock, right? I don't fuck with anything like that. But yeah, that Wanda Sykes scene was pretty. Let me see if I can find that. It was a movie scene. Kristen Bell. I think it was Kristen Bell. I gotta get off here. It's getting late. Why moms go crazy? Yeah, this is it.
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Your mom was probably pretty normal before she had you, but then you were born. And you didn't sleep for 6 months, so she didn't sleep for 6 months. And you refused to eat. And when you did eat, you would barf all over her clothes. And that made your mom a little crazy. And then you fell off your bike and you broke your arm. And then you got bullied in school. And then you started dating that weird dude with the stake through his nose. And all those things made your mom a little more crazy. And then you got married and you bought a house you can't afford and you're raising kids who never say please or thank you. Shit, they can't even read. And all those things made your mom super duper crazy. And now you come into my office and you go, Dr. Carl, why's my mom so crazy? And the answer is, you motherfucker, you made your mom crazy. So be nice to your mom because you're the one who fucked her shit up.
It's true. I can just speak for the baby part, and I can say that's true. My son is 1.5, dude, and I can say that's true right now. I want them pale. See, I don't want my kid to have the same skin color as me. I want them pale. Did you have the same thought or not? That's a good question, Mo. When I scroll on Facebook and I see ads in Facebook in Czech Republic or in Europe, and in the ad it'll have a black person in it. Everybody will laugh at it. Oh, I meant to post something on Instagram where I got in a conversation with one guy because they just flat out call black people monkeys and shit, and they don't want black people in Czech Republic, don't force black people fashion on us and all that. Oh, like the racism in Europe is deep, dude. But they also have different factors they're playing with too than North America. Once it comes out that I'm American, and they usually just stop. Like they don't like, because America's like the higher ups kind of thing. To be honest, I would be lying to say that I never secretly kind of wished he'd be more pale to just get treated better in society. I'd be lying. So yeah. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do have that thought. Like I would wish he would be more pale, so he would kind of get that immediate privilege in life, especially in Europe. In my opinion, I think Europe is more racist than North America. But I think Europe can hide behind it because they can just hide behind the many different languages here. So like nobody will ever know. Um, I think Europe's more racist than North America in many situations. Especially if you're like, especially if you're from a poorer country. Now, as an American, I can work through it. Especially when I send my son to a private school, I can work through it. But if I send him to like a regular school, oh, it's inevitable at that point. But I'd be lying. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. I would wish my son to be. I would be lying if I say the thought never crossed my mind that I wish you'd be more pale. Um, because he's just going to be treated better on an immediate level. He'd be treated better when it comes to applying for jobs, shit like that. Of course. Um, and I think that that's one area that's not really spoken about, or if it is spoken about, it's quieted pretty fast because it's one of those topics where where everybody has to acknowledge the racism in the world, right? Like if anybody had the choice to be white or black, if you gave anybody on earth the choice, right, to be white or black, everybody would choose to be white. Right, and it's one of those things like you can't even fight that argument. Right, like it's one of those things. Like, so of course, yeah, I do wish he'd be pale just because I know what's coming. Um, yeah, yeah, I totally do have the same thoughts. It crosses, yeah, because I told his mother, how racism works. Like it's the deeper things, and and in my opinion, I think it is like in Vanilla Sky, Tom Cruise says the little things, that there's nothing bigger than the little things. It's the little things, right? Um, and I told my girl like how he's going to be impacted by this, and how I said like okay, when you walk out in Czech Republic and you look at an advertisement on on a billboard, or you walk in a mall and see a billboard, what's on that billboard? It's not a brown person. They gonna show a pale white bitch up on there with bright red makeup, right? Right? They gonna show motherfucker. They're not gonna show people that looks like my son here, right? Um, and like I said, not to mention, just look, Europe is more racist, far more racist than North America. And the reason why I say Europe is, and the reason why I can say in confidence Europe is far more racist than North America is because see, everybody knows English. So if North Americans say certain words, oh, it'll get, everybody knows what that means. But you could say something in Czech, racist, and nobody knows what that means, right? So they can get away with that far more out here, right? Until a guy like me who lives over here and I'm on Facebook and I can hit see translation in Facebook and see what they said, right? And then the Czech person always responds, "How did you know what I said?" type of thing, because I hit the fucking translator button in the Facebook app as an American, that whole conversation. Oh, but the racism, because I was on the phone with my dad and my girl with Esmeralda, right? And we got into time, and I always make it clear to her, like, of course I know she's not racist because she's with me, right? Or if she is, she's got a different sect of racism, right? I gotta pee. Let me take a break, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna put the trailer on, but I'll be right back to continue the story. But I gotta pee. I'll be right back. So we back. Okay. So the next exercise I was on the phone with my girlfriend and my dad, right, on video call, and I make clear because I think this is a sensitive. Let me close this door. I didn't close the door away. I didn't. So I always have to make clear because here's the thing. My child's mother is white, right? I grew up in white neighborhoods. I went to white schools, right? But overall, there is a sense of white guilt, like in the world, right? Because the world knows how everybody else is treated, right? It's just one of those things, and it's uncomfortable. I get it. It is what it is, right? It's uncomfortable as fuck. But due to maritime trading technology at the time, look, the white population took over and dominated the fucking world. Let's just be honest about it, right? But there is a sense of white guilt of what happened after the whole British Raj situation and the fact that they would rather get their boats made in England. I'm sorry, boats made in India because the teak wood and the rope was just superior to anything that Scotland could make. That's where that whole sense of racism first started, in my opinion, right? Right. So I get that over history and just realization, there is a sense of just an overall general sense of white guilt. It just is, right? And I'm not saying every white person is racist. I'm not saying every white person feels like they were better or worse than anybody, whatever. But it is a consequence of history more so than an independent, dilemma, right? I think it's more of it's a consequence of history. So I always try to tell my girl, like, look, I'm like, I get it, right? So I'm not trying to single you out because here's the thing. I think every white person thinks that they're singled out when this conversation comes up, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I think thanks to media and black people being violent, and then like that kind of knowing their reality. I think all of it kind of leads to white people feeling severely singled out when it comes up because now they don't want to say the wrong word and look like a racist and all this shit. So all this shit like just piles up and it's just fucked up, right? It's fucked up, right? So the exercise that I had with my girl, right? It was me and my dad, and my girl. So of course my dad's black. So she automatically feels like she can't. So I remember I played my girl Uncle Ruckus, and she said, like, I can't laugh at that because I'll be seen as racist, right? Because and now again, in contexts like this, I think that it's that underlying thing of like knowing that what the joke is, and knowing that it's racist, and knowing that white people will be seen immediately as more racist because of white history, of people with white skins history. Now, maybe not necessarily the Czech population, but anybody who's white can be seen as even more racist from it, right? Now, again, I'm not saying like the individual may have not done it, but it's just it's the consequence of history, right? So I asked my girl, "Do you know what the word spick means?" She goes, "No, I've never heard spick before," right? So then I asked her, "Well, do you know what pan face means? Do you know, do you know a racial slur, any other English racial slur for any non-white person? Do you know any other?" And she genuinely didn't know, but she knows the N-word, right? Now, the N-word is a powerful word. Now, she then goes on to say, and I agree with her on this. She goes, well, because they play it in music and we hear it in music. And I agree with her. Okay, yeah, like rappers saying in music. The only rappers they're really getting is like Jay-Z, shit like that. But he says it in music. So I get that part, right? But then the next deeper part is, how do you know not to say that word? Right? Like in the rap music, like how did you know to never say, even with the because I don't say it how rappers, I never say it how rappers say it. Because because I feel like I never deserved it from that cultural life in North America. But how did she know not to, that it's pretty much in social law standards, it's illegal for her to say the N-word in any form? How did you know that? Right? Was there an instruction booklet? Who did somebody tell you? Like, how did you know? Right? You could say gypsy. You could say Tsikani, which is like the N word for gypsies, you can say that around me, but you won't say the N word, even in a cool way. In rap music, that's appearingly, normal. You won't say that around me, right? So why is it that you won't say this word around me, right? And here's the thing. See, you can go anywhere on earth, and everybody knows the N word, and they all know it's offensive, right? On some level, right? Right. And you shouldn't say it. But there's no other English word like that that you can say that, as far as I know. Maybe somebody can educate me. Maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe somebody can educate me, right? And let me know. But as far as I know, there's no other English racial slur that the world can collectively come to terms on to know is, you don't say that word on a collective level, right? Right. So my question is, like, when it comes to rap music, how did you know not to say this word that's in rap music, right? Like, you must have known some kind of way. How did you know, right? And see, it's these deeper areas, like, is it what makes it very clear that, like, or with my ex-wife, I used to have them tell me jokes about black people in Czech, about how black people never close doors. Their jokes are like, but there's a Czech joke about how black people never close doors. Like, if you don't close the door, they say, "Well, what are you, a black person?" Oh, yeah, crazy. And the thing is, they don't even have black people in Czech Republic. So how did you even know to make a unified joke like that? It's like a 2% population of black people. How did you know to even make a joke like that, dude? Like, it's next level shit. You know what I mean? Like, racism is fucking deep, dude. It's fucked up. It's deep. But again, I don't hold anybody, like, I didn't hold my ex-wife to any, I didn't, hold any of that on her or against her any kind of way. It's just the world, right? It's how it is. AD, what do you think about the BBC stereotype fetish, since we're talking about skin color? Um, I think it's not so really much about the dick size, but just more so about a taboo, committing a taboo sex sin. I think it's more about. I don't think it's really much about the dick size of a black dude. I think it's just more about about the act of having sex with socially the lowest people on earth. I think it ranks right in there with having sex with bum. Well, I don't want to say right in there, but okay, to a certain population, having sex with bums, with with like literally homeless people on the street. I think it's in that boat kind of thing. But I get out here, man. It's fucking 11. I know I'm loud as fuck. There's some ism in Europe, but there was also wars left and right, and people had all the same skin tone. They offed each other left and right. Yeah, that's true, Vidor. Yeah. It's human nature to want something that we are not. I'm sure there are many whites who wish they are not white. I say make the most out of, what's it say? Out of the card you're dealt with and be proud of it. Yeah. Yeah. Women and children want the same. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get out because it's fucking 11:04, man. I'm gonna get out of here, man, because it's late as fuck. I should get off here an hour ago. But yeah, I'll catch y'all, man. I'll leave this up. I'll catch y'all later, man. Yo, peace out. Have a good night, evening, day, wherever you are. And I'll catch y'all later, man, because it's late as fuck. I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out.